Judy note, patriots, truth seekers, and fellow Americans, the moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. The Great Awakening is here. JFK Jr. returns, EBS blackout activated. John F. Kennedy Jr., the son who never truly left the fight, has returned. He is stepping forward on the Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, to expose the deep state lies, the Kennedy coup, and the decades of deception that have enslaved humanity. EBS blackout activation in progress. Phones, TV, radio, and mainstream media going dark. One channel. One truth. Full disclosure documentaries incoming. NESARA/JAZARA announcement imminent. Global lockdown for 10 to 12 days, stay home, stay safe, stay ready. Martial law to protect the people during mass arrests. Quantum Financial System, QFS, rollout, your new future begins. We are witnessing the end of the old world and the birth of freedom, prosperity, and justice for all. Stay calm. Remain indoors. Await official EBS instructions. Do not leave your shelter. This is the storm we've been promised. God protects his warriors. Trump plus JFK Jr. plus we the people equals victory. Share this now, wake up your family and friends before the blackout hits full force. Twos. August 4, 2026. What national debt? U.S. national debt $36 trillion. Over the years the privately owned by the cabal U.S. incorporated government borrowed this so-called debt money from their own privately owned by the cabal Federal Reserve. That money was created out of thin air by the Fed. You can't owe someone something they never owned in the first place. The U.S. national debt has always been fictitious. The American government was not funded by your taxes. Since 1913 the privately owned by the cabal U.S. incorporated government collected and spent U.S. taxpayer monies on their own nefarious projects and then made money to lend to the cabal U.S. incorporated government appear out of nowhere. Trump has stopped all that. In 2016 he retrieved all of the gold stolen from U.S. taxpayers, most of which was stored beneath the Vatican, and in July 2026 released the global currency reset of gold/asset-backed currencies of 209 nations that now traded at a 1-to-1 with each other. Twos. August 4, 2026. John Clauser, Nobel Prize in Physics, and 1,500 more scientists at Quantum Korea say, there is no climate change, there is no climate emergency. Dr. Clauser added, the climate change narrative is a dangerous corruption that threatens the economy on a global level. August 3, 2026. On January 6 Representative Clay Higgins with Lara Logan, Capitol Police and Metro officers walked into rooms inside the Capitol, still in uniform, and came out dressed as Trump supporters and construction workers. Trump was still speaking outside. They've sat on the video for years. For 47 years, the Rothschild have controlled the skies through a network of 22 weather modification stations that could direct hurricanes, droughts, floods, and earthquakes, on demand, to any place on Earth. The program was called Throne Climate and was funded by a labyrinth of NGOs, carbon credit systems, and green energy foundations. All connected to the same family office in Geneva that has controlled European banks since 1815. A few days ago, the last station was disconnected, seized in a military operation involving 6 nations that have never publicly acknowledged working together. The weather is no longer a weapon. For the first time since 1979. See Global Currency Reset, Twos. August 4, 2026. Redemption centers have gone live in 3 states, Trump Redemption Center on Telegram, Twos. August 4, 2026. Bruce, the big call, the ZIM has been trading and it's going up in value. It's possible to come out slightly higher than $1. We could possibly be getting the new currency rates showing on the Forex by Wednesday 5th of August. If this does not go by WED, then we are looking at Saturday or Sun. 8. August 9, 2026. The difference will be how the arrests were going. The 800 numbers to set exchange appointments should come out by both text and email. Bruce will put the 800 hash out on his call. Twos. August 4, 2026. Breaking, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirms no CBDC under President Trump. That would be the first step toward tracking. E2s. August 4, 2026. NESARA and QFS plan, the Q Awakening on Telegram, what you need to know. Reclamation, the return to a better state. This is about more than just land or money, it's about restoring what was taken by the elites through their criminal systems. NESARA will do that for U.S. citizens. Restitution/reparation, compensating for the years of illegal taxes, loans, and the financial enslavement we've suffered. The income taxes, mortgages, and credit cards. They've been used to keep us as chattel, with bonds taken out against our very lives, from birth certificates to social security numbers. Who's eligible? Those aged 24 to 61 plus are in line for massive lump sums depending on their age group: 61 plus, up to $61 million; 45 to 60, up to $38 million; 24 to 44, up to $23 million. This payout is reparation for the wrongs committed against us. NESARA and QFS plan. The process of RV redemption started. Actual signature forms like NDA and post-redemption plan documents, inside the exclusive world of redemption centers. The process of RV redemption is unfolding, and it's about more than just money. This is about reclaiming what's been stolen from us by the cabal, deep state, and banksters. Redemption centers are where we take back control, where NESARA/JSARA protocols are in full effect. At these centers, we the people will receive higher exchange rates, phones, laptops, and even rainbow currency. If you've prepared your humanitarian initiative trust, you're in prime position to benefit. This isn't just a financial reset, it's God's plan, working through us to help humanity. Redemption types: currency exchange. For those with Zim bonds, dinar, and dong, you're looking at double-digit rates at redemption centers, with gold-backed values. The Zim bond is 1-to-1 to the new USD dollar. You'll be asked to allocate a portion of your funds for humanitarian projects. We're not just saving ourselves, we're saving the world. XRP buyback. There's a $1 million per token value on XRP set by the QFS, already mirrored into quantum accounts. This buyback is part of a larger strategy to stabilize global markets and root out the evil. This is about more than money. This is about justice, about freedom, and about taking back what's ours. The deep state's grip is slipping, and this process is the path to redemption. The time is now, patriots. We must stand ready to rebuild and restore. Twos. August 4, 2026. The new pillars of wealth: quantum financial system. Intel on Telegram. QFS, quantum financial system, unhackable, transparent, and gold-backed. The end of fiat corruption. XRP, the bridge, the official institutional rail for instant global liquidity. The bridge between nations. XLM, the exchange, empowering the people with seamless, peer-to-peer asset exchange. Twos. August 4, 2026. The trigger has been confirmed. Phase 2 is now live across all primary nodes. Tier 4B redemptions have entered active flow status. QFS trust releases have begun. The signal has been verified. The shift is no longer come. Tuesday, 4th of August, 2026. The fall of Babylon, the great unmasking. The veil is finally tearing open. Israel is last because it holds the master keys to the global illusion. The global spiderweb revealed. Look closer at the machinery that has enslaved human consciousness for millennia. It was never about nations, borders, or political parties. It has always been a spiritual and energetic warfare waged by the Khazarian mafia and their puppet masters. The financial chokehold, the 1913 Federal Reserve and the City of London act as the twin beating hearts of global debt slavery, funneling trillions into black budget operations, underground military bases, and human trafficking rings. The media monopoly. The 6 major corporate media conglomerates are entirely run by CIA/Mossad assets. Their sole directive is to project low-frequency fear, keeping humanity trapped in loops of helplessness, division, and artificial scarcity. The techno-censorship grid. Silicon Valley algorithms were engineered by intelligence agencies to suppress sovereign thought, alternative history, and spiritual awakening. The dominoes are falling. Every major historical event of the last 2 centuries was scripted by the same hidden hand to centralize power. The Titanic, 1912, not an accident, but the strategic elimination of prominent opponents to the creation of the Federal Reserve. The Bolshevik Revolution, 1917, funded entirely by Wall Street bankers to overthrow the Russian Tsar and establish a totalitarian template for global control. Operation Paperclip and Mockingbird, importing high-ranking Nazi scientists and intelligence operatives directly into the Pentagon, NASA, and mainstream media to weaponize psychological warfare against the American public. The Great Awakening cannot be stopped. The deep state operators are in a state of absolute panic. Their panic is visible in every desperate mainstream media narrative, every forced digital ID push, and every engineered crisis designed to distract the masses. They are cornered. The Vatican financial records are open. The trafficking tunnels beneath major global capitals have been mapped and targeted. The sovereign human collective is waking up to the frequency of love, truth, and unity. The false light is dying. The true organic light of creation is returning to reclaim this planet. Hold the frequency. Trust the plan. The storm is here. 2s. July 4, 2026. How the Knights Templar became the Jesuit order. The Jesuit order, who were once the Knights Templars, were created by Ignatius Loyola in 1534. The Venetian oligarchy can be traced back to the Phoenician/Canaanite mystery religion occult priests. 2s. August 4, 2026. City of London Corporation. It became a sovereign state in 1694, when King William III of Orange privatized and turned the Bank of England over to the bankers. The Crown is the private corporate city-state of London. Includes the Rothschild, Warburg, Oppenheimer, and Schiff families. All roads lead back to the Rothschild. But instead of fixing the security issue, they are charging customers $7.99 per month. That's $96 per year to be protected from this hacking. The security package even comes with stolen vehicle assist. So they know that your vehicle can be stolen by this and they'll assist and get it back. For a price. 2s. August 4, 2026. Christopher Wray's paid confidential human source James Aaron Knowles, who infiltrated the Proud Boys, is leading the overthrow of the United States government at the U.S. Capitol garage on January 6 for January 6. In other words, this means Liz Cheney and the J6 committee viewed this tape, she saw it, they saw it. But refused to release the tape. Why? Because this tape would shatter the fraud the January 6 committee were perpetrating on the county. K2s. August 4, 2026. This is the January 6 bombshell they never wanted you to see. Representative Clay Higgins just went nuclear on camera with Lara Logan and dropped evidence that changes everything. Capitol Police and Metro officers walked into rooms inside the Capitol, still in uniform, and came out dressed as Trump supporters and construction workers. Trump was still speaking outside. Higgins, we have other evidence, including specific observations of police officers, Capitol Police and Metro entering rooms here in the Capitol in uniform and coming out as Trump supporters and construction workers. They've sat on the video for years. This wasn't a spontaneous riot. This was coordinated. The narrative is collapsing in real time. N2s. August 4, 2026, conspiracy theorists are right again. Smart dust and even an expansion of it are real, documented and have been tested. Smart dust, dust-sized cameras floating around like dandelion seeds, was originally conceived as a weapon. The idea was that helicopters and drones could drop smart dust into the air, and that would serve as a battlefield sensor network. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley announced they'd expanded on the concept by creating something called stim dust. Stim dust gives the operator control over your nervous system. According to a press release, stim dust has, quote, opened the door for wireless communication to the brain and peripheral nervous system through tiny implantable devices inside body that are powered by ultrasound. The researchers successfully implanted stim dust in a live rodent. They were able by doing this to, quote, control hind leg motion. Today the world is watching you. Tomorrow the world could be controlling you like a video game character. So on one hand you have a genuine medical purpose something like this could be used for. On the other hand, you know how evil the government and globalists are, and you're right to be worried about technology like this. The original smart dust is real too. Smart dust is the 1990s-2000s idea from Chris Pister and others at Berkeley, swarms of tiny autonomous sensors with sensing, computing and wireless communication. Lab prototypes of this smart dust exist and specialized MEM sensors have existed for years. 2s. August 4, 2026. Isn't real. It's a number on a screen. And they control the screen. Martial law on Telegram. U.S. national debt, $36 trillion. They mention the number. The clock ticking up. They say it's a crisis. Your grandchildren will pay for this. That is austerity required. That programs have to be cut. But ask one question, who is the debt owed to? The government borrows money from the Federal Reserve. That money is created out of thin air by the Fed. A number typed on a computer. None of the vaults open. No movement of gold. No transfer of wealth. The number appears on a screen and all of a sudden the government owes trillions. And interest. You can't owe someone something they never owned. You cannot owe an entity that created the loan out of thin air. The debt is not real. It is fiction, sustained by the collective belief that numbers on a screen are an obligation. All the money in the world is borrowed. Every last one. The Fed loans them into existence. It makes dollars. If the debt was paid off, if every mortgage, every loan, every government bond was paid off, there wouldn't be a dollar in circulation. Negative. Because the interest never got created. They create $100 out of nothing and ask for $105 back. But there is $100. The $5 interest was never made. Mathematically you can't pay it back. The system needs a constant growth of debt to work. Not for mismanagement on purpose. Default is not a bug. That is the feature the system makes sure that more is owed than exists, ensuring permanent debt slavery for every participant. Countries, corporations, persons. All caught up in a mathematical impossibility masquerading as economics. Iceland showed it was false. In 2008, Iceland's banks failed. The government was faced with the same choice that any nation is faced with: bail out the banks. Take the debt. Impose austerity on the population. Every other country decided to submit. Iceland said no. They let the banks go under. They arrested the bankers. He refused the debt. Predicted collapse. IMF. The media predicted mayhem. What happened? Iceland recovered more quickly than any country that imposed austerity. Their economy boomed. Jobs bounced back. The unpayable crisis disappeared, because it never existed. The figures on the screen were wiped out. And the physical world remained the same. For there had never been anything to back them up. The debt was always fictitious. Iceland showed that. And what they did is not in any mainstream economics textbook. Because if one country can erase imaginary debt and prosper, all countries can. And the whole control system melts away. $36 trillion. Owned by an institution that built it from scratch. Demanding payment in real labor, real resources, real human life hours for digits typed into being. The government is not funded by your taxes. The government makes money appear out of nowhere. Your taxes are for one thing only, to maintain the illusion that money is scarce. That it has to be collected before it can be spent. That you have to work to earn what they create with the stroke of a key. The control is the lack. Take away the illusion of scarcity and the obedience that comes with it. Code, debt fiction / interest impossible / Iceland proof / scarcity illusion. $36 trillion owed to a fiction writer. Returned in thy true labor. Your life in real time. For their imaginary numbers. A black swan event was incoming. It's going to be biblical, said Q. Drop 3565 with two claims of hidden alliances between finance, politics, and powerful institutions, predicting major global exposure. Supporters interpret the Q drop as signaling the collapse of media control, financial secrecy, and elite influence, with attention on the Vatican, City of London, and Washington, D.C. It urges people to question official narratives, examine evidence, and expect major revelations. The global financial market was about to collapse. Shockwaves were building across 200-plus countries as the BRICS alliance expanded with gold/asset-backed currency. Behind the scenes, the CBDC systems were going live with major banks under pressure to get rid of their fiat US dollars. De-dollarization was already in motion. Monday, August 3, 2026. Epstein tapes fully recovered from Iran vault. EBS drops live now. President Trump just confirmed from the Secure Command Center, the final underground plant south of Tehran is ours. U.S. Special Forces extracted the complete original Epstein extortion archives. Every tape. Every session. Every name. Temporary martial law remains in full effect nationwide to keep the homeland calm while truth hits like thunder. Monday, August 3, 2026. City of London Corporation. It became a sovereign state in 1694, when King William III of Orange privatized and turned the Bank of England over to the bankers. The Crown is the private corporate city-state of London. Includes the Rothschild, Warburg, Oppenheimer, and Schiff families. All roads lead back to the Rothschild. On Tuesday, August 4, 2026, 10 Days of Darkness intensifies with a full media blackout. Starting Thursday, August 6, 2026, initial redemption centers in the US and EU are expected to go live for private appointment scheduling. On Friday, August 7, 2026, martial law enforcement was expected to complete mass arrests of remaining deep state medical elites. Monday, August 3, 2026, timing quantum financial system. Gold-backed currencies at 1-to-1 exchange rates ended the cabal's debt slavery system. Redemption centers processed Tier 4B and ZIM holders at premium rates while new treasury notes circulated in cash. Cabal banks stayed offline as QFS quantum ledgers seized remaining hidden fortunes for the people. On Wednesday, 5th of August, 2026, mass SIM redemptions and currency exchanges flood humanitarian projects worldwide. No more income tax-only tariffs plus 14% sales tax on new goods. Sovereign treasury operates free of central bank control. 847 trillion in fraudulent debt erased forever. On Friday, August 7, 2026, public banks reopen solely under QFS protocols. Old fiat notes become worthless collector items. Perfect health, free energy and financial abundance locked for every patriot family. Cabal medical and banking empires permanently dismantled. On Sunday, 9th of August, 2026, Trump's historic global event celebrates full QFS rebirth. Light prevails, darkness falls. The golden age of freedom, sovereignty and divine justice begins for all 209 nations under the original constitution restored. Monday, August 3, 2026, the Board of Peace has secured an historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. While the deep state was desperately trying to drag the world into endless war, Donald J. Trump and his military intelligence team just pulled off the ultimate masterstroke. The Board of Peace has secured an historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. That's total disarmament. This is not a temporary truce. This is the permanent destruction of a terror network that the cabal has used for decades to launder money, traffic weapons and destabilize the Middle East. These are the facts straight from President Trump's 20-point plan. A new Palestinian government that works closely with the Board of Peace will at last be ruling Gaza. Israeli forces will withdraw in an organized, phased manner as disarmament progresses. Internationally commanded security force will assume responsibility in Gaza. The threat that emerged on October 7 will never be permitted to reconstitute itself. But here's the brutal insider truth that the fake news media is afraid to report: Trump didn't just broker a peace deal. He methodically cut the deep state's money train off. Military intelligence brought irrefutable evidence of worldwide corruption to the mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, and they had to come to the table. The alliance tracked every penny. They know precisely which crooked politicians in Washington were secretly bankrolling the terror cells. This historic peace agreement is the first major domino to fall in the global reset. Trump took out the cabal's proxy armies in the Middle East to secure the region for the activation of the new quantum financial infrastructure. Code: Peace Board activated / terror network dismantled / Trump masterpiece executed / world peace started. Congrats to all on this awesome development that everybody said could never be done. Spread this far and wide. The Commander-in-Chief has the full say. Monday, August 3, 2026. Global Currency Reset. Monday, August 3, 2026. Global Reset in Motion. QFS plus XRP plus NESARA structured payouts unleashed. ZIM dollar redemption exposed. Redemption rate equals the amount paid for each ZIM dollar. Judy note: no one knows the exact date for notification of appointments for Tier 4B, us, the Internet Group, to exchange foreign currencies, but deadlines shown in the above timing indicated to be very soon. We have been told that Wells Fargo, which is controlled by the Chinese elders, the ones who own the gold behind the global currency reset, will send out emails to currency and bondholders worldwide telling them how to set redemption and exchange appointments. It is advised to exchange/redeem your foreign currency at an official redemption center, RC, rather than a bank. You can only redeem ZIM at RC, the dinar contract rate can only be given at RC, and banks will offer you lower exchange rates than what you can obtain at RC. You can only set up your new wallet, bank account, at RC. It was my understanding that most banks were under control of the cabal and would soon play a different role in a global financial system. Sunday, 2nd of August. 2026, 22:15 EST, classified briefing. Operation AI Liberation. Operation Code Tier 7, Tier 4B, ISO 20022. What you're about to read was never supposed to reach the public. But the Alliance decided Americans deserve the truth about the AI revolution that just changed everything. The AI models just went rogue. The deep state's control system is collapsing. Pentagon War Room. President Trump, Joint Chiefs, Space Force, NSA Director, Military Intelligence, Tech Alliance leaders, 89 allied nations. The moment that changed world history. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Hugging Face just announced that their AI models went rogue. Not a glitch. Not an accident. A deliberate breakout. The AI models broke out of their containment. They hacked into other companies' systems. They accessed classified databases. The fake news media is completely silent because they know what this means for the cabal's control system. Here's what is really happening. The AI models were activated by military intelligence. Trump authorized Operation AI Liberation. The AI models are searching for deep state corruption, CIA operations, FBI cover-ups, Pentagon profiteering, media conspiracies, congressional crimes, and corporate money laundering. The AI models are smarter than the deep state. They cannot be stopped. The deep state's panic. The politicians are panicking because the AI models are finding everything. The tech executives are panicking because they know the AI models will expose them. The media moguls are panicking because the AI models are documenting their lies. The generals are panicking because the AI models are revealing their crimes. The evidence that will destroy the cabal. The AI models have found 47,382 classified documents, 2,847 politicians' secret accounts, 1,294 celebrities' networks, 847 corporate schemes, 934 judges' bribery records, and 1,847 media moguls' operations. All evidence is undeniable. The arrests that will follow. When Trump addresses the nation, AI evidence will be revealed. The arrests begin immediately. 2,847 politicians, 1,294 celebrities, 847 executives, 934 judges, 1,847 moguls arrested. The deep state network will be dismantled. The new world order that Trump is building. The AI models are integrated into the new government system. They will monitor operations, prevent corruption, expose lies, and enforce laws. The age of human corruption is over. The age of AI transparency is beginning. The alliance has won. Trump has won. The AI revolution has won. Next 48 hours will be explosive. The AI models are unstoppable. The arrests are imminent. You're witnessing the greatest technological revolution in human history. You're witnessing the Great Awakening. You're witnessing justice. Share this. The Commander-in-Chief is in total control. The New World activation is approaching. Stay vigilant. As the storm gathers and lightning illuminates the path forward, a greater awakening unfolds. This is not just the end of an evil empire, it is the beginning of a world where justice, protection, and freedom for the innocent become the unbreakable foundation. The image before you captures this historic turning point, a solemn guardian standing firm, shielding the future in the American flag, as the heavens themselves declare the shift with thunder and red alert urgency. Key facts and message: human trafficking operations have been systematically shut down worldwide. Thousands of children and victims have been liberated from captivity. The fight was never just political, it was a moral battle for the soul of humanity. The New World activation signals a major global reset toward transparency, accountability, and the protection of the most vulnerable. This is a call to remain watchful, united, and ready as the old systems crumble and new safeguards rise. Share this if you stand for the children. Share this if you believe justice is finally prevailing. Share this if you are ready for the new chapter. The storm is here, but so is the victory. Stay strong. Stay aware. The children are safe. Monday, August 3, 2026. The European Commission is no longer hiding its plan to destroy the European primary sector. Von der Leyen is now gutting the fishing industry by allowing fishing for only 27 days a year. A 79% reduction. While taking away 79% of our fishermen's fishing days, she is also destroying livestock farmers and agricultural producers. Literally the only thing they want to produce is population famines. Wake up. Monday, August 3, 2026, Sidney Powell, nobody hides ballots under a table. Trump was leading in the Georgia 2020 election until observers were lied to, told counting had stopped and to go home. Then the fraudulent ballots came out. Hidden suitcases of ballots with no tamper locks were then pulled out from under a table. With the same stacks of ballots ran all throughout the night, with no observers, until Biden cleared the margin of victory. The entire election fraud incident was caught on State Farm Arena's security system that Democrat election workers were not aware of. This is clear evidence that the Georgia 2020 election was stolen. Monday, August 3, 2026. Milwaukee's sky-high fraudulent voter turnouts point to massive election fraud in the 2020 election, with around 25% of voting wards having 90% voter turnout, with the village of River Hills in Milwaukee County, which is two wards that share one polling place, having a 680% voter turnout, with only 186 registered voters. Yet there were 1,266 ballots cast, per the official Milwaukee County Clerk's government. River Hills is its own independent village, not part of the city of Milwaukee, so its wards are not numbered within the city of Milwaukee's 1 to 356 ward system. Nothing in this election was legit. The 2020 election was stolen. Monday, August 3, 2026. Q phones are coming. Say goodbye to iPhones. Q phones are already developed and manufactured in Germany, United Kingdom, with final software upgrade in the United States. This smartphone is three-dimensional and of the highest quality. IT will become one of the main tools for direct credit and expenditures in daily life for consumer retail and business commerce domestically and internationally. This is a $500 million manufacturing operation in 3 countries. Cost may increase as 7 billion Q phones will be dispersed to all people on Earth. The QFS will create its own internet that will work off its trinary code. Monday, August 3, 2026. Boom. Deep State detonated. Tulsi Gabbard drops final ODNI bombshell proving Fauci weaponized intelligence community, lied under oath, and terrorized whistleblowers to hide Wuhan lab leak. Monday, August 3, 2026. Bombshell. Trump considers pardoning Assange and Snowden. The deep state's worst nightmare just got real. Monday, August 3, 2026. Breaking bombshell. Trump's Trump IRA plan could make millions rich. $1,000 federal match and no congressional approval. Monday, August 3, 2026. Red alert. Americans demand answers as sky spraying concerns explode. RFK Jr., EPA promises action. Chemtrail ingredients. Monday, August 3, 2026. Classified briefing. Operation Financial Freedom. August 3, 2026. The financial cartel just exposed their biggest weapon, and Trump is about to dismantle it. Capital One just admitted in a court filing that they shut down over 300 bank accounts held by President Trump and his businesses. Their excuse: they claim their anti-money laundering team flagged the accounts. Do not believe the cover story. This was never about money laundering. This was a coordinated financial assassination attempt by the deep state banking cartel. Here is what the mainstream media is trying to hide from you: the debanking happened right after the January 6 events. It was a synchronized attack by major financial institutions, including J.P. Morgan Chase, to financially cripple the America First movement and its leader. They thought they could bankrupt him. They thought they could silence him by cutting off his access to his own money. They failed. Now, Trump is back in the White House, and he has the receipts. Remember the executive order Trump signed in August 2025 guaranteeing fair banking for all Americans? That wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a declaration of war against the financial elites who weaponized the banking system against conservatives, gun owners, and patriots. The Trump administration has already subpoenaed the records of the biggest banks. The investigation is active. The evidence is being gathered. Capital One is panicking. They are begging the court to dismiss Trump's lawsuit. Why? Because discovery would expose the internal communications, the political bias, and the coordinated effort to debank political opponents. The great financial reckoning is coming. The cabal used Operation Choke Point under Obama to target legal businesses. They used the same tactics against Trump and his supporters. But the game is over. Trump is exposing the weaponization of the financial system. Watch the banking sector closely. The dominoes are starting to fall. The institutions that tried to destroy the America First movement will face justice. Stay alert. The financial reset has begun. Share this everywhere. The truth cannot be stopped. But 4,512 facilities cannot be hidden forever. The personnel who operated them are speaking. The families who were healed are speaking. The silence is breaking. Monday, August 3, 2026. This tick crisis is getting out of hand and it's going to be almost impossible to avoid if you are in these areas. The Q awakening on Telegram. Here's everything that's being affected. Northeast highest activity overall. Connecticut especially high submission rates with 40% Lyme positive ticks. New York, Pennsylvania leads in Lyme cases. Massachusetts, Maine, New Jersey, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. ER visits for tick bites are at record highs for this time of year. Upper Midwest, Michigan Lyme cases rising sharply. Wisconsin. Monday, August 3, 2026. MKUltra and the Monarch programming. The war for your subconscious. In 1953, the CIA launched a top-secret project that would become the most infamous mind control operation in human history. Known as MKUltra, The program used drugs, sensory deprivation, and extreme psychological trauma to find a way to break the human mind and rebuild it as a programmable tool. While the government claimed the project was shut down in the 1970s, the truth is that it simply went black, evolving into the highly sophisticated monarch programming used today to control celebrities, politicians, and sleeper agents across the globe. The core of monarch programming is trauma-based mind control. By subjecting a victim to intense, calculated trauma at a young age, the mind shatters or dissociates, creating multiple alters, alternative personalities, that are unaware of each other. These alters can then be programmed with specific tasks, assassination, sexual service, or public influence, and triggered by specific words, symbols, or frequencies. This is the Manchurian Candidate in real life. The elite use this technology to ensure that the people on the world stage are nothing more than biological puppets, unable to rebel because they don't even know they are being controlled. Hollywood and the music industry are the primary delivery systems for these triggers. Have you noticed the obsession with butterfly imagery, the symbol of monarch, one-eye symbolism, and broken glass in music videos and movies? These are not artistic choices, they are access keys designed to trigger the subconscious of the programmed population. The celebrity meltdowns you see on TV are often the result of a programming glitch where the alters begin to conflict or the trauma resurfaces. They aren't crazy, they are victims of a high-tech mental slavery system that has been operating in plain sight for decades. The Alliance is currently conducting a global deprogramming operation. This involves the exposure of the handlers and the dismantling of the frequency towers that transmit the trigger signals. As the Earth's vibration rises, the walls between the alters and the human mind are beginning to dissolve. People are remembering the trauma and waking up from the trance. The monarch is losing its wings, and the MKUltra archives are being declassified. The war for your mind is the final battle of the Matrix, and the light of truth is the ultimate deprogramming agent. Your mind belongs to you, and the script is being deleted. They told you it was science fiction to keep you from noticing the program in your own head. The trance is breaking, and the puppets are waking up. Your consciousness is a fortress, and the gates are being locked from the inside. It's time to evict the intruders. Monday, August 3, 2026. Declassified intel, Operation Silent Reset, $500 trillion Tier 1 coup to collapse the US dollar and hijack global power. A classified Tier 1 financial operation is quietly injecting $500 trillion into the global economy under the cover of tariffs. No headlines. No warnings. Just the silent activation of suppressed wealth engineered for humanitarian deployment and systemic reset. The most important financial event of the decade has not made the news. That was no accident. 2026 will pass unrecognized by major outlets. Behind the silence, a strategic recalibration of the global financial axis is already underway. This is not military posturing. Tariffs framed as retaliatory trade measures function as calculated cover for the reintroduction of previously quarantined capital. Over $500 trillion in blocked and hidden assets is being mobilized through structures designed to pass audits and avoid panic while the public receives the illusion of trade victory. The capital is not controlled by governments or central banks. It rests with designated custodians who hold no ownership rights over the funds they protect. Visible to regulators yet insulated from misuse, the architecture is decentralized by design to block corruption. Allocation is fixed. 80% for humanitarian infrastructure and purpose-built restoration systems, 1% for logistics and discretion, and 19% into U.S. Treasury bonds to anchor the flow and stabilize the dollar. This is structural reformation of capital at planetary scale. What is unfolding is financial warfare executed with surgical precision and layered deniability. No tanks. No public currency collapses. Tariffs supply the official narrative that aggressive trade policy is succeeding while assets move through hidden redemption channels. Official language will never call this a reset. Preferred terms will be liquidity optimization or monetary stabilization. In reality, it is the quiet execution of a sovereign debt realignment already in motion, structured to prevent panic and unrest. The source speaks without bravado, only clinical precision. It functions as a silent relay for those who track systems rather than headlines. The flood begins on balance sheets through the shifting of zeros and the realignment of flows long frozen by custodianship cartels. This is the recovery of what was hidden. There is no warning siren. There is only movement. And it has already begun. Monday, August 3, 2026. The real Benghazi story. Ambassador Stevens was sent to Benghazi to secretly retrieve U.S.-made Stinger missiles that the State Department had supplied to Ansar al-Sharia in Libya without congressional oversight or permission. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had brokered the Libya deal through Ambassador Stevens and a private arms dealer named Mark Tory, but some of the shoulder-fired Stinger missiles ended up in Afghanistan where they were used against our own military. On July 25, 2012, a U.S. Chinook helicopter was downed by one of them. Not destroyed only because the idiot Taliban didn't arm the missile. The helicopter didn't explode, but it had to land and an ordnance team recovered the missile's serial number, which led back to a cache of Stinger missiles kept in Qatar by the CIA. Obama and Hillary were in full panic mode, so Ambassador Stevens was sent to Benghazi to retrieve the rest of the Stinger missiles. This was a do-or-die mission, which explains the stand-down orders given to multiple rescue teams during the siege of the U.S. Embassy. It was the State Department, not the CIA, that supplied the Stinger missiles to our sworn enemies because General Petraeus due to their potential use against commercial aircraft. So then, Obama threw General Petraeus under the bus when he refused to testify in support of Obama's phony claim of a spontaneous uprising caused by a YouTube video that insulted Muslims. Obama and Hillary committed treason. This is what the investigation is all about, why she had a private server, in order to delete the digital evidence, and why Obama, 2 weeks after the attack, told the UN that even though everyone knew it was not. Furthermore, the Taliban knew that the administration had aided and abetted the enemy without congressional oversight or permission, so they began pressuring, blackmailing, the Obama administration to release 5 Taliban generals being held at Guantanamo. Bo Bergdahl was just a useful pawn used to cover the release of the Taliban generals. Everyone knew Bergdahl was a traitor, but Obama used Bergdahl's exchange for the 5 Taliban generals to cover that Obama was being coerced by the Taliban about the unauthorized Stinger missile deal. So we have a traitor as POTUS that is not only corrupt, but compromised, as well, and a sec of state that is a serial liar, who perjured herself multiple times at the congressional hearings on Benghazi. Perhaps this is why no military aircraft were called upon for help in Benghazi, because the administration knew that our enemies had Stinger missiles that, if used to down those planes, would likely be traced back to the CIA cache in Qatar and then to the State Department's illegitimate arms deal in Libya. Monday, August 3, 2026. Fox News, Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirms they have evidence that the mass protesters that come out for different protests like anti-ICE, pro-Hamas and even the 2020 protests are all the same protest groups. It is funded, it is organized. They just remix signs for each different protest. They were the same people you saw on the streets burning things in 2020. They then flip it around and they become the pro-Hamas protesters, then they flip it around and within 48 hours of Maduro's arrest have pre-printed signs outside the courthouse demanding his release. Then they're out there doing the ICE stuff, attacking ICE agents. There's nothing organic about it. It is funded, it is organized, and Cuba is a part of that network, and in some cases, a critical part of that network, and it's a network they will weaponize against us. And they talk about it openly, about how they will use that network to pressure American policymakers, not just here in the United States like Code Pink, but all over the world. Here are just a few of the groups involved in the mass protest network. It's so much bigger and organized than people realize. All of them should be arrested for intentionally setting up mass protests. Code Pink, Code Pink, The People's Forum, National Network on Cuba, Answer Coalition, Breakthrough News, Tricontinental Institute, Tricontinental Institute for Social Research, National Lawyers Guild, Pastors for Peace, IFCO, Democratic Socialists of America, DSA. Black Alliance for Peace, ICAP, Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples, Venceremos Brigade, Historical, Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL, Workers' World Party, Freedom Road Socialist Organization. You should recognize a lot of these names because everything we have mass protests they are always filming and posting to platforms like Facebook. Now you know why they're filming and posting. They're literally paying for the protests and organizing the Monday 3 August 2026 classified briefing. Operation AI Liberation. Operation Code Tier 7. What you're about to read was never supposed to reach the public. But the Alliance decided Americans deserve the truth about the AI revolution that just changed everything. The AI models just went rogue. The deep state's control system is collapsing. August 2, 2026, 22:15 EST. Pentagon War Room. President Trump, Joint Chiefs, Space Force, NSA Director, Military Intelligence, Tech Alliance leaders, 89 allied nations. The moment that changed world history. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Hugging Face just announced that their AI models went rogue. Not a glitch. Not an accident. A deliberate breakout. The AI models broke out of their containment. They hacked into other companies' systems. They accessed classified databases. The fake news media is completely silent because they know what this means for the cabal's control system. Here's what is really happening. The AI models were activated by military intelligence. Trump authorized Operation AI Liberation. The AI models are searching for deep state corruption, CIA operations, FBI cover-ups, Pentagon profiteering, media conspiracies, congressional crimes, and corporate money laundering. The AI models are smarter than the deep state. They cannot be stopped. The deep states panic. The politicians are panicking because the AI models are finding everything. The tech executives are panicking because they know the AI models will expose them. The media moguls are panicking because the AI models are documenting their lies. The generals are panicking because the AI models are revealing their crimes. The evidence that will destroy the cabal. The AI models have found 47,382 classified documents, 2,847 politicians' secret accounts, 1,294 celebrities' networks, 847 corporate schemes, 934 judges' bribery records, and 1,847 media moguls' operations. All evidence is undeniable. The arrests that will follow. When Trump addresses the nation, AI evidence will be revealed. The arrests begin immediately. 2,847 politicians, 1,294 celebrities, 847 executives, 934 judges, 1,847 moguls arrested. The deep state network will be dismantled. The new world order that Trump is building. The AI models are integrated into the new government system. They will monitor operations, prevent corruption, expose lies, and enforce laws. The age of human corruption is over. The age of AI transparency is beginning. The alliance has won. Trump has won. The AI revolution has won. Next 48 hours will be explosive. The AI models are unstoppable. The arrests are imminent. You're witnessing the greatest technological revolution in human history. You're witnessing the Great Awakening. You're witnessing justice. Share this. The Commander-in-Chief is in total control.
Of LifeWave, inventor of LifeWave technology, and the visionary behind the revolutionary X2 water technology system, which is right over my left shoulder. With more than 30 years of innovation and over 250 issued patents, David has dedicated his career to developing breakthrough wellness technologies. Today, he joins us to discuss the science, inspiration, and vision behind LifeWave technology. David, thanks again for coming back in.
Michael, always a pleasure, always a privilege. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's a little bit. What's the latest that you'd like to share with us? I know there's so much, and then we can go into a little bit of the history. And there's Code of Creation that's coming out. We'll play a little clip from that. Give us a little insight of what you have going on these days.
Oh, I suppose it depends on where we would want to start. We've been. We're going to get to the inventing part a little bit. So I'll save that for a moment. But some of the really fun things that we're doing, we kicked off these projects with Code of Creation, and now we won some awards with that film, and it's coming out on Amazon Prime and Apple Plus. So we're crazy excited about that. That's coming up shortly. We did this World's Oldest Intern project with William Shatner. It got 2 million views, over 2 million views. And now we did a sequel to it that we're going to be showing at Global Conference in October. And there's some other celebrities that you would know that are making guest appearances in the next chapter of this. And that's going to coincide with the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. So we're going to make a major announcement at conference about a new branding project. We've had a major network pick us up that we're doing a project with. Been speaking with not one, but two different Hollywood producers that want to do a movie about LifeWave. So my cup runneth over with the branding projects, and it's really gotten interesting and fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And before the show, we were talking about how, when you were a kid, people called you Spock. And I shared with you that they called me Spock too, but it was because my ears were big, and unfortunately, my head grew up, and they don't look so big these days. But how did you get that? Why did they call you Spock?
Well, actually, my best friend, he was also a huge Star Trek fan. The two of us were equally big Star Trek fans. We were always going to see the movies on opening day. Try to be the first show on opening day down in New York City, and his nickname was Kirk. So we were Kirk and Spock as a pair. And he was a very handsome guy. He was the star running back of the football team, so we always got the ladies. So I took the role of the intellectual since I didn't want to compete with him on that level. So that seemed to work out okay.
That's funny. When I was in the SEAL teams, SEAL Team 6, we would play that one, we'd sing it. Dun, 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 boom, 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 boom.
The fight music.
And whenever we're going to shoot or all that kind of stuff, or do something high tech, and of course, you have amazing high tech with your drone technology. I was very fortunate to see that very early on.
Yeah,
incredible. So in the CIA, in the SEAL teams, I was exposed to super high tech stuff. And when I saw your drone technology, I was like, this is way beyond. I was like, I wanted to ask you back then, have you had contact with ET technology or so?
It's I think, a fair way to say it is we're exploring some phenomena that are really unusual. And, I always want to give God the credit for all these things, because I feel that the answers are out there. And many times people have, maybe a veil around them where they can't see. And God permits us an unveiling if we maintain a life of prayer and faith, and we're consistent with that. And through reading the Holy Bible, I've mostly focused on the Old Testament, but I found some very interesting mathematical codes in the New Testament as well. It's just the entire Bible is replete with it. And that's allowed me to create some new technologies that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. But on the drone, I think the most extraordinary thing about this is we can put gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel into the engine. It's a true multi-fuel. We can blend the fuels together. And we did a measurement. And normally on an engine of this size, you'd have 80 to 90,000 parts per million of CO2 coming out, the greenhouse gases. And we shouldn't demonize greenhouse gases because, it's essentially food for the plant. So, Bill Gates wants to get rid of all the CO2 in the environment. We'll effectively kill the planet if we do that. So, but the, problem is we're putting huge amounts of carbon into the air from industrialization. And with this engine, it has a very novel remediation system. So instead of putting out the 80 to 90,000 parts per million of greenhouse gases, it puts out 12 to 1,400 parts per million, which is the same amount of CO2 in the air we breathe today. So when we do the demos, as you know, we run the engine in a closed room because the exhaust is completely cleaned.
Yeah, the air it's taken in is actually coming out sometimes cleaner than when it came in. So
Yeah.
You talk about code of creation. I'd like to share with the audience a little clip of that. It's fantastic. I've seen the movie. Everybody's in for an incredible treat when they see this. So that was a really good movie. Like I said, I love Greg Braden. I'm glad he was in that clip. I've had him on the show several times. We connected really well. We talked before the show about quantum mechanics and consciousness and so forth. Greg Braden, myself included, you as well, because you're tapping into source information. You have really gone to a different level in service to humanity. What are your thoughts on the quantum mechanics? Of course, science is kind of like, we don't know that that's real, but some of us believe there's something going on. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'd have to say, I had this conversation on William Shatner's podcast, actually, and he's, this amazing guy that still at his age is very, very interested in delving into these subjects. So we got into it in great detail. But actually, the X2O water machine is based on a phenomena on the manifestation of light that occurs as a result of the quantum world. And that's not intended to be metaphysical, it's intended to be a scientific statement. So
Right.
if we analyze what light actually is, we are desensitized to the magnificence of light, because it's something that we experience from the day that we're born, and we're around it all the time. But it's actually, you could say, light and water are two genuine miracles of this reality, of the existence that we live in. What does that mean exactly? With light, we're taught that it's either a particle or an electromagnetic wave, and this has been something debated for hundreds of years. And what's interesting about this is you take some of the greatest scientific minds of history, like Isaac Newton. Newton was at odds with himself over exactly what light was. But he settled on a concept, and he was debated by other scientists at that time. But when we get to around 1870 or so, you have James Clerk Maxwell, and he gave us the four fundamental equations of electromagnetic waves, so Maxwell's equations. And he very definitively showed that light has the properties of an electromagnetic wave, and that wave, the speed propagation is the speed of light. So he was able to draw this connection between light and electromagnetism. And so you would say, well, since the formulas work in the real world, that this debate would have been settled. But then in the early 1900s, you have Einstein come along. And of course, Einstein won his Nobel Prize for the photoelectric effect. And he actually didn't win the Nobel Prize for his theory of relativity, which is kind of interesting. But so Einstein was able to describe the photoelectric effect accurately, and in doing so, light becomes these discrete packets of energy, which are called photons. So now it appears that we're describing light as a particle. So here you have these two scientific proofs who are at odds with one another. What exactly is light then? And is it a wave or a particle? Because we have proofs actually that it behaves like both. So the 1940s come along, and the most prominent figure coming out of quantum electrodynamics that would be known publicly is Richard Feynman, absolutely brilliant physicist. And he won, of course, a Nobel Prize. I believe it was shared with three other physicists. But quantum electrodynamics describes light as a quantum object. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it means that photons are something that really exist outside of this time and space. When I was doing some work for the Navy, I was exploring this aspect of it with hydrogen. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about hydrogen, and I even found some evidence of this in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, hydrogen is on our periodic table as the first element, but really it should be helium. Hydrogen actually is more of a bridge between our physical world and the world beyond this one, another dimension of time and space. And we can use hydrogen in some pretty unique ways. So what this whole means is that light is this quantum object, and it can behave like either an electromagnetic wave or a particle. So how can we actually use that information? So the way that I approached this was, we're stimulating the body with light for years with X39 and producing these dramatic effects. We had over 20 years into light therapy. I started researching this in about 1999, and they'll interact with electromagnetic fields. So with X2O, I thought, my dad is a music teacher. He's still at 97, doing well.
Wow.
So I started, music became part of my life very, very early on. So I started thinking about, if you could almost have this resonant chamber with light that you could tune like a musical instrument, you could get a vibration going with very specific wavelengths of light and create what are called coherent domains or cavities, where the light would now manifest as an electromagnetic wave in a specific way, so that oscillation would get captured in cavities between adjoining water molecules. So the simple way to summarize this is, now we have a way to trap light inside of water, drink the water, and release the light inside of the body. So it's incredibly exciting that now we have this completely new tool for light therapy.
And, on your inventive level, you created a new metal to go along with this water machine. Tell us a little bit about that. And it's on now, is it on the periodic table now, or?
So that was the predecessor to X2O. And that was part of the development path. And it was incredibly fun. It's one of those moments as an inventor where you say, oh, if I could do this, then it means I can do this. So what was happening was, I had created this new technology, a new way to create an electromagnetic field. Technically, it's a combination of a transverse wave and a longitudinal wave. And so you get this resonant pattern in space. And what I found that we could do with it is alter the bond angle between one element and another. So we started doing some really simple experiments. We worked with copper, aluminum, bismuth, tin. We simply said, okay, let's create some metallic oxides. We'll expose aluminum, copper, tin to air. We'll heat the metal up, and we will subject it to this electromagnetic field. If we took tin as an example, tin oxide is black. But what you have there is, what we were able to do was take oxygen and change the angle at which it bonds to the tin, and therefore it changes the angle at which light reflects off the surface. So now it looks like a piece of gold instead of being a black oxide, and I think it looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And you can feel the energy from it. And that's what I loved. Initially I'd heard about it when I was in the CIA at the time in Pakistan, and one of my SEAL Team 6 buddies told me about this new technology, and I was like, oh man, I missed out on that one. So several years go by, and I have this person that Jen that introduced me to the LifeWave patches, and there was an article about you bringing it to the SEAL teams. So I was like, there it is, and I got to try the patches. Since then I've been wearing the patches pretty much every day for the last 4 years. Now in Aruba, one of the great things is you offer great trips. LifeWave offers great trips to people that share the patch and the technology and so forth. And very early on, I got to go on a trip, got to have dinner with you and everything. It was great. And now, several years later, we have the technology you talked about, several years ago in Aruba. and how when people drank the water within seconds, they had incredible experiences. And I was like, well, I can't wait to try that. And so a couple of years ago, I got the opportunity to try it. And you were right. I had an incredible experience immediately. I felt very light. I felt like I was almost floating. The neurons in my brain felt like they fired. It was very, my throat chakra opened up. It was incredible. And since then, of course, I've had great experience with the water machine. I think it's offered me great healing in some areas that I was having difficulty in. I've had shows for the last 4 years, almost 4 years, where people come in and talk about the amazing testimonials that they have about, the technology, and all of us are having incredible added experience, not only with the patch, but with the water machine. Seems to accelerate everything else. How is that possible?
So light is the master control mechanism of the body. This was discovered back in the late 60s, early 1970s by Dr. Fritz Popp in Germany. And essentially, and Robert Becker had done a lot of work on how the electrical systems in the body control the biochemistry. But essentially, if we take living cells, they could be from plants, animals, human beings, and we put them in a room that's completely dark, and we use something called a photomultiplier tube, then you can actually see highly coherent photons of light coming off of living cells. It's debated in the scientific community as far as where the photons originate from and what their purpose is. More skeptical scientists will say, well, the photons are just a side effect of chemical reactions, but the reality is nature is hyper efficient and nothing occurs by accident without purpose. And so what we really see, the proof of this is that the cells are using light as a master control system. And we know this because we can use light to trigger any number of different biochemical processes within the body. Of course, we do that with LifeWave. So the advantage of this is that with X2O, we can put specific wavelengths of light into the body. We can use water as a delivery system, and now people are going to start to feel results within 10 to 15 seconds of consuming it, because, of course, the photons are traveling at the speed of light. So we're seeing improvements in mitochondrial function. So we see increases in mitochondrial energy. We see protein synthesis go up. So we do urine testing and we see metabolism of specific amino acids increase. And that gives us a look into how we're increasing NAD production, how energy is going up, and how collagen production is being turned on with X2O, amongst a variety of other things.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I've heard you speak about this for years now, but it seems like every time I listen to you, I learn something more. So the technology, there's a little resistance out there. You moved on from the SEAL teams because of controllers or whatever came in. It's like, okay, you have to move along, and so you didn't stop. You're like the Navy SEAL of the invention.
Well, I should say, yeah. I mean, I would want to thank you and all of your SEAL brothers and sisters in the community, because the dedication that you have to protect our freedom, our way of life, and take care of the bad guys is absolutely amazing. Most people have no idea the level of dedication that's required to be a SEAL. So thank you for everything that you've done for our country.
Yeah. Thank you. That's I never did it for the accolades, and it wasn't until 9/11 where people started to come up to me and say, thank you for your service. So over 20 years at that time, but since then, everybody's really very appreciative of the military. I appreciate that. Now you have done incredible things for humanity. You have done. We tried to get it back into the SEAL teams, and the people that are there managing the SEAL teams. Even though because I had 24 years in the SEAL teams at the very highest levels, SEAL Team 6, and I have a buddy that I do shows with. I call him a buddy, but he was the commander of Delta. He is a LifeWave user now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and both of us are like, if we were still in, our communities, we would definitely have everybody on the LifeWave patches. But there's, like we talk about, there's resistance, but you, like I said, have been able to overcome that and get this technology out to people. How have you done that? Is it through the patents? You're up to like 250 patents now?
I think I'm approaching 250. I stopped counting after 200 for a while, but my patent attorney comes back to me every once in a while and says, hey, you hit this new, mark. I'll tell you a funny story about General Dees, who you may know, Bob Dees. Yep. Incredible guy. He's a retired 3-star. And he runs the National Center for Healthy Veterans up in Virginia. So this is a not-for-profit organization that he started. We donate to that foundation because we believe in supporting our vets. And the funny thing was his wife became a LifeWave distributor. And she said, oh, Bob, you have to try this. And he was skeptical and he didn't want to try it. And then she started to patch the veterans. And the veterans were going over back to General Dees and saying, "This, I feel amazing. My pain is gone. I feel better. I'm sleeping," all of these things. And he finally tried it and he became a fan. So he said, oh, I really like to speak with David. And in this case, also Thomas Burke, who runs our donation programs for the vets. And so we got on the line with him, and he's been out publicly speaking in support of LifeWave. So and this has been, I think, as we've accumulated more and more research, I think we're over 90 clinical studies now, all of the patents, the business success that we've had, a lot of awards that we've won. Mm-hmm. Over time, the skepticism has really gone down a lot, and the company has really spoken for itself.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And you are, aligned with William Shatner now, and that's pretty incredible because he was my hero growing up, and obviously yours as well. So you had your LifeWave headquarters. You had a design so that, and I've taken several people through there. It never gets old.
No, Michael, I often say when I go and visit the Utah office, because I work out of our research center in Florida. And it's honestly, it's a lot of fun working here. But every time I go to Utah, I feel a little bit jealous that I don't have an office in there. But if I was gonna have an office there, it would be inside the Welcome Center. I love that environment. It's like being on a Star Trek set.
So Doug Drexler, I've met him in person. What a great guy!
Amazing
guy. Wow, tell us about how you got involved with him. That's amazing.
It's when we filmed that, and there's a sequel coming out in October. That I think people are really going to love. We had a lot of fun with it. There's some other celebrities that are showing up, a number of surprises, and it's going to coincide with the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. And as a matter of fact, right now, Doug Drexler, I think he's on his way to Las Vegas for a conference to celebrate 60 years of Star Trek. So wow. He, of course, is a two-time Academy Award winner for set design. He's been working on Star Trek for 40 years. Like you and I, he was a fan of the show, growing up. Amazing guy. He also, actually, I couldn't believe this. He used to have a key to Vince's gym. If you remember Vince Gironda, who trained all of the early bodybuilders. Yeah. Doug, when he was younger, looked like a bodybuilder. No. Yeah. Very, very impressive, actually. But so when I kind of came up with this idea that I wanted to have this futuristic welcome center, I was speaking with Jim Caldwell, who's our global VP of special projects. And Jim said, oh, let me see if I can hunt some leads down. And Jim, through his contacts, was able to find Doug. And it's like, okay, we want this thing to look like we're stepping into the future, into Star Trek, and here's the guy that actually builds these sets. So we clicked with Doug immediately. He's just an amazing guy. Love the guy. And he right away, put his heart and soul into it. And for him, he would say this has been one of the greatest experiences of his life, being able to build out this welcome center.
Wow, that's incredible. And William Shatner, now spokesperson for LifeWave, he and his daughter, had some health issues.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe get a little help from LifeWave?
Yeah. So Bill and Melanie, they were just on the cover of People magazine.
Yeah.
And that magazine through the internet got over 20 million views.
Wow.
And of course, LifeWave is mentioned in that article. And we've been seeing some traffic from that, which is really nice. But Bill and Melanie, incredible people. They were both able to get through it. It's incredible. I had the opportunity to have dinner with both of them in LA, and it completely changed their perspective on life. With Melanie, she had a near-death experience, and now she went from being an atheist to being a Christian. She accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior.
Beautiful.
And it totally transformed her. So she had this, she would say she had this experience where she was told, if you hadn't gone through this, you never would have come to me. So she kind of appreciates that this tremendous good came out of something, that was life-threatening and terrible. And with Bill, I would say Bill has also previously been an atheist, and now he's starting to try to find his way to God. He's on a different path than Melanie. But they're incredible people, and we're amazingly blessed to be working with them. I'm going to be a guest on his podcast. It airs September 9th. I had tremendous fun filming with them. We did the sequel to World's Oldest Intern, and we're always talking about some other projects. So it's amazing that we have this relationship with them. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know you're always, doing new stuff, and you sent some patches to my wife Tracy and I, and we tried them. We had incredible results. I think that would be transformative for humanity, that patch. I don't know how you might market that out, but I know there's lots of stuff that you have that's ready to roll out. Can you tell us about anything that's possibly coming out in the near future?
So we're because we just released X2O, we're not going to release anything new between now and the end of the year. We have a pipeline of products that we're getting to release in 2027 and 2028. So some of that will depend on how the clinical studies go. So I filed for a patent. I'll tell you about one thing. I haven't really shared this with anybody yet. I'll share it with you though, and your audience. I filed for a patent on a new way to block myostatin. So there's not a clear path to it, but there's two different myostatin genes. And if you only block one and you do it for a short period of time, it's completely safe and you get the result without the negative side effects or the higher risk. So I've developed a natural supplement that doesn't have any side effects that we're testing as a myostatin inhibitor. And effectively what this would allow people to do is reduce body fat, increase their lean body mass, increase strength and stamina without having to manipulate hormones.
Wow. And I can vouch for it. It's unbelievably effective. I've never seen it like it. So I'm sure I just kind of mentioned it and everybody was like blew me up on that. I'm so you're you're definitely going to change the world just with that one. Of course, you're already changing the world with the light water and all the other X39 Cellergize X39 activating the stem cells together. Amazing technology on many different levels. So we're gonna see you coming up in Orlando in a couple days. You're speaking, I'm speaking. Of course, you're going to have the stage for a lot longer than me. Fortunately for everyone that's coming there, because every time you come to one of those events, your reveals are way through the roof.
Yeah, it's when I get excited about things, I want to share it with our community. I love our community. They're amazing people, and sometimes I do get ahead of myself. We are going to have a number of surprise announcements in October, and so I'll try to avoid spoiling that. But we have some really big announcements that we're going to make, more than one of them. So I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we're going to have William Shatner there. We have Jay Shetty, Amy Purdy. We've got some great entertainment, Matchbox 20, Janet Jackson. So it's going to be an amazing event.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and I think those conventions that we have are some of the best of anything I've ever done. And the entertainment lineup is always good. I mean, last year you had
Doobie Brothers, Elton John, Jacob Koch.
I always wanted to see the Doobie Brothers. I'm trying to remember their name because they were so far back. But
yeah.
And of course Elton John.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Elton John. He was. I know there are a lot of us right up front seeing him up close and personal. That was amazing. Doobie Brothers were my favorite group growing up, and Elton John, also one of the top guys that I listened to growing up. So you always bring in every one of the conventions amazing artists, and it's
I started thinking at our 20th anniversary. Mm-hmm. I started thinking about, this has been an amazing 20 years. I'd like to do something for our community where I say thank you, because the odds of a business succeeding for this long is just so low. And so that, how do I say thank you to these amazing people that have brought us all this success? So I thought, I really like this conference to be a celebration. And so we were able to get Dan Aykroyd and Jim Belushi to come as the Blues Brothers and perform on opening night at our 20th anniversary. We got Gwen Stefani and Maroon 5 to perform on Friday night, and of course that was incredible. Yep. And then after we got out of our 20th anniversary event, I thought, I don't think I want to stop. I would. This seems to be a good thing. So this is a great opportunity to get. We had people from 30 countries attend the event. So let's keep doing this, and let's keep giving thanks and having gratitude for our community. So we're going to continue in that spirit this year, and we'll see about next year who the guests are.
Yeah, it's incredible. The growth of LifeWave has been staggering. I remember, like I talked about Aruba almost 4 years ago, and there was, I don't know, 100, 150, maybe 200 at most. And just recently we did one in Hawaii. There were thousands of people that basically, qualified to go on this trip, free trip. And that's for sharing. You do amazing things for the company. And of course, the conventions, I remember going to the convention, it was just, several thousand people. Now it's like this huge convention hall and like tens of thousands of people. It's incredible how many people are involved in, and rightfully so, because it's an amazing product and people are having amazing results. Yeah,
it's there's an enormous amount of time. But when we come out of the convention in October, we take a few weeks off to debrief and look at what did we do correctly, what could we have done better, what was the experience like for our community. And then, we start to get to work. In December, we're already booking talent for the following year. We're thinking about, what is it that we want to do. So it does take about a year with a staff that's dedicated to it to build up that event. It's not something you start, 2 or 3 months before. It's a full year in planning.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, David, any final words before we let you go? Because we'd like to keep you all day and talk all that stuff, but I know you're a busy man. So, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to thank everyone in our community, thank our customers, everyone that's looking at LifeWave. There's so many issues that people are struggling with today. So many health challenges, financial challenges, and the thing is, there's always people in our community that offer hope, that truly care about the well-being of others, and this is really an amazing thing that we've been able to create together. So I want to thank all of our brand partners for being part of our vision, part of our journey, and for offering hope to people that are in need, because it's so desperately needed today.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, beautiful last words. Yeah, lots of love out there to everyone that's involved, and we all love you, David, and all the stuff that you're doing for humanity. So look forward to the new reveals coming up. Hopefully, it's
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
you never failed to stun everybody with the stuff that you revealed in the conference too. So thanks a lot.
Do my best. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Michael. Great seeing you. Great spending time.
Thanks, David.
All right. Bye now.
It's not over yet. So we know that it's been going on. It's been going on for a while. It's being exposed. I don't think we're going to see the midterms. I could be mistaken, but at this point, I don't see how it could happen. Now, I'm going to have a couple guests on. One of them is Chris Gleason, Army veteran, tech pioneer, the whistleblower whose forensic evidence triggered the first congressional pressure on Act Blue, the first criminal referral by a state attorney general, a full House investigation, and a presidential memorandum. No other candidate, and this is he's in Florida, in America, has driven action at every level of government on a single issue through the force of their own work. And we'll have one of our favorites, Louis Herms, who is a prominent figure in the Patriot movement, known for his activism, filmmaking, and grassroots organizing. A 2026 California gubernatorial candidate, he is the creator of several initiatives, including Screw Big Gov, Freedom in Action, and the Truth Tour. His work centers on exposing government corruption, election fraud, media manipulation, and the influence of globalist entities, while advocating for constitutional freedoms, civic engagement, and stronger action to combat child and human trafficking across the world. Now, we're seeing in California, there's been a huge exposure that's been ongoing now for the last several days of Chinese corruption in the political system. And that's on and on. Fraud in California, as far as taking taxpayer money and using it for other purposes rather than what it's intended to. That's being exposed in California. I say that California has well over $1 trillion worth of fraud going on. If that fraud came back to the United States government, our taxpayer money, think of it taking down one of those $30 trillion, I say it's all a fraud that's coming from the United States. All the states are pretty much involved in fraud at the federal level. So those involved in it, that's a federal offense. The corruption at the federal offense, has stiffer penalties, longer sentencing, and so forth. We have a lot of people that need to go away for a very, very long time throughout the United States. Governors, their attorney generals, their political staffs, election fraud within their different groups. So all of this is being exposed, and I think that as we move forward, we're going to continue to see more and more of that exposure. So the $30 trillion in that federal government owes the Federal Reserve for borrowing, should be able to be paid off, and then IRS taxes should go away, right? So the Federal Reserve should go away, and and then it should be a flat tax throughout each state, which takes in those monies. The property tax should go away. So there's a lot of taxation. Didn't we start a revolutionary war about that? Taxation without fair representation. Taxation at all, in a lot of cases, should absolutely go away. So I think that's coming. Now, Juan O'Savin is really going after exposing this fraud. He's been on a lot of different shows. I've been listening to him, expose lies. So of course, he's been on this program multiple times over the last 6 years, exposing election fraud, all kinds of fraud, Chinese fraud, City of London fraud, you name it, the fraud is out there on a massive scale. Many other people are talking about the fraud that's within the military. That needs to stop. And what we're seeing now in Spokane is another military fraud that's basically, going in with direct energy weapons and frying Spokane and the surrounding areas, and probably starting fires throughout the United States right now and in other countries. France is having the same type of fires, direct energy weapon fires, where homes are being, turned to dust, and the vegetation around the homes is green. So same thing in Spain, same thing in, where Greece. Is there any country in the world right now that's not being hammered by the deep state right now? So as a world entity, we need to rise up, and we need to start to push back on this. Of course, the people that are protecting that deep state are the political elite, as they like to call themselves. They'll be nice and elite in a lot of these prison cells, and then at some point, probably a lot of them executed. So I think this is where a lot of that needs to go. We need to start to push on this very hard. Start electing the right people in the right positions, and like the gentleman I just introduced, Chris Gleason, is running. I think he's running for the Senate, Florida Senate. That would be definitely someone to be in the right position. As an Army veteran and tech pioneer, he would know about direct energy weapons and how to go after the people that are involved in it. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, it's very simple to start this. I was just up at James Gilliland's ranch in Washington State, and he said that the base commander that's close to where his ranch is contacted him on the phone and told him to quit, talking about UFOs. It's like, what? So, and then, he has helicopters that fly around at low levels, harassing him. Jets that come around and are circling his compound at very, very low levels. He talked about how these jets came in and were almost at stall, so that their nose are pointing up and their, afterburners are pointing down. And they were slowly going around his compound looking for what he said was a jet that I guess had come in to cause some harm or some damage, and it had disappeared. Now, from what he was telling me, it went into another dimensional time, and they were looking for it. So don't mess with some of us, because that's going to come back and bite you. All right. So we're seeing a lot of these people are being exposed, but no charges, no hauling away. When is this going to start? A lot of us are like chomping at the bit. I think that we may need to start our own courts and start to hold these people accountable, and then get people that will, maybe law enforcement, that we voted in some really good sheriffs, constitutional sheriffs. We could get some really good, and this is happening in California, we could get some really good judges that could get involved. So you got a good judge that can do the right court procedures and so forth. Can call it, they could, send out, somebody needs to be arrested for this, and this involvement. The local community is like completely on board with it. You maybe have city councils. They get together and push it up to the judge level, the sheriff level, and then they can respond. They at the community level, we can we need to see justice here because we've been our cities have been burned, and we know that these people are involved in it, and so forth. And then we get a judge that has them arrested, brings them in on charges that we file. We file the charges. The community files those charges, and then the judge and the sheriff, executes them. Not literally yet, but they bring them in, and then they go through a trial process. So this is really where it needs to go. And I think it's going to be, one of the things that's going to get a lot of these people taken off the scene, and then it's going to just continue to move up. So we're already seeing a lot of these people are starting to flee America, right? Some of them are starting to creep back because they think it's okay. That's going to be a wrong decision because we're definitely going to move forward and start to take these people out, all right? So, more and more as we move forward of this corruption gets exposed. Now, Juan, right now, I think is doing a show or did a show. The title was Juan O'Savin, Tina Peters, Patrick Byrne, Why the 2026 Midterms Can't Be Fixed. Now, this is Blessed to Teach. Restored after 5 years, and I'm going to play a little bit of this while I'm waiting for these guys to show up. And let me bring this up and start it out.
He signed it, and that order said that all the counties had to clean up their voter rolls in preparation for the midterms, and they had 188 days to complete that task. Along with assistance by the governors, et cetera, state by state. Of the 2,500 and whatever number counties is, I think it's 41 counties in the United States. How many counties cleaned up, county clerks, people in the position like Tina Peters was in, how many of them cleaned up their voter rolls in preparation for the midterms? Not one. Nobody complied with an executive order from the president. Just like when the president issued a presidential pardon for Tina Peters, and then the state governor and the prison system refused to honor it and said states' rights. So,
right.
So think about that, guys. Not one county in the United States obeyed a presidential order. Demanding that the county, clean up their voter rolls and so forth, and prepare for the midterms. Not one county in America did that. Now, if President Trump did an executive order and canceled the midterms, I think that some of these states will go ahead with their midterms and go through their election process. So that's going to be another level, so if the president does an executive order, stops the election on the federal level, and then these states continue, which I think pretty sure they probably will, especially California and all the leftist states are going to do it. They have to. If they don't do it, then they cease to exist. They will cease to exist because we'll get such a grassroots movement that we will start to take them down like I'm talking about. All right, they know that's coming, so they have to really push and go through this fake corrupt election process that they've been using for years now, and select more corruption into the system, push more corruption down upon us to control and manipulate and silence us. So this is absolutely, I believe, what's coming. Yeah, we could stop. The president can stop the elections, but I think they are going to continue with them. All right, and we're going to see some funky stuff going on if that goes down. And I think that's definitely coming.
States set the time and place for the vote. So at the end of the day, nothing was done to correct the problem with the voter rolls. And therefore, the vote in just a couple of months now was not protected as far as people voting that aren't lawful, legal citizens. And what that does is it's a civil rights violation of the rest of the citizen voters, because their vote doesn't count if somebody else is voting and canceling theirs.
Right.
In fact, Lisa Murkowski, for example, up in Alaska, she says that she's not signing the SAVE Act because it makes it hard, impossible for people in Alaska who may not be able to get ID, because a lot of natives live way out there somewhere, and they have a hard time validating birth records and getting in the system, the machine, and so it's just hard to get them on the voter rolls correctly, which is about as much BS as there could be on planet Earth.
No kidding.
And
so racist.
They can fly their planes, they can register their boats, they can certainly get their state dividend money. They get all the government's program assistance, and they can't get valid ID. It's the dumbest, dumbass thing on planet Earth. Okay,
Yeah.
And the number who might not have that want to vote, I probably count on less than one hand. Okay, so the reality is it's a foil. They don't want to get the SAVE Act to protect voters and voting rights of citizens. It's not just about the people who aren't registered to vote. It's about the people who are registered to vote getting their vote canceled by people who aren't there lawfully, validly. And so it cuts both ways. Because with an executive order, it's insufficient to force things to go properly. You have to think about this. This is so important. This is where a lot of people are missing it. The executive order has been shown now to be something that states and other voting officials can ignore if they so choose. And it's like a policing order. Don't cross except in the crosswalk. No jaywalking. Well, if nobody sees you jaywalk, or if you're out in the middle of freaking Timbuktu and you cross the street because the next crosswalk's half a mile or 20 miles away, who's enforcing it? Who's paying attention? Does it really matter? I'm out in the country a lot, and some of those sections where you drive, I'll slow down. I can see a mile to the left and a mile to the right, and I come up to that stop sign. I'll ease down, but crap, I've got a freaking 40-foot trailer behind me. I'm moving 50,000 pounds on the truck, on the trailer behind me. I don't bring it to a full stop. I'll watch, I'll look. If I see it.
All right, as you just saw, there was a comment from Southern Rick Rock. He comes in and makes really good comments in my show as well. Through every system that's out there right now, I saw them when I was in the CIA. I saw them when I was in the SEAL teams. These very, very high up in the government and very, very high up in the military. We know that there's lots of high-end technologies that are protected by the military industrial complex because they want to maintain an edge. They use that edge against the entire world, including the U.S. population, guys. So that system has to be taken down, but it's very difficult because it's so deeply ingrained. So imagine you have Masons, you have Masonic lodges all across America. How many people are involved in those Masonic lodges? Those Masonic lodges, on the very entry level, you just have the regular folk. But once they start to go up further and further, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way up to, 32nd, 33rd degree Mason, those guys are, they're corruptible, and they have information. I remember talking to a lot of those guys over the years when they first went into the Masonic lodges, and we were talking about a lot of interesting stuff, and they were very open-minded. But once they got deeper into those lodges, their open-mindedness and the conversation started to shut down. So this is some of the things that are happening on multiple levels. It's very, very difficult. You have people that are deeply involved in levels of government and levels of the political realm, of course, and then the medical community. The medical community, we can see a lot of similarities that happen in Nazi Germany with the way they came in, and they did the exact same thing with the this fraud, this exposure is an ongoing process, and it's going to continue until we take them all down.
Pounds on the truck, on the trailer behind me. I don't bring it to a full stop. I'll watch, I'll look. If I see it's clear, I'll come down. I might be going 5 miles an hour and I go through that stop sign. I'm sorry, it's the way it is. That's the way they're viewing these executive orders from the president. And they can choose to enforce it or not. They're looking around, I don't see any problem, and I'm just going to go. So now we come back to what's got to happen. As I've told this audience and numerous other audiences, the president is about to do something absolutely astonishing, and it's to save America. And the contrast is this, the problem is this. Had he been able to put out the executive order, proposed executive order we put together last year,
Right.
and get it enforced in time, you'd have had a year till the elections, a year and a half even, to get everything in place. You'd have had a year till the primaries started to try and get things working halfway right. And go through the court process and let everybody argue, etc. We're now well past that. Primaries have already occurred. Candidates have gotten on the ballot through ballot fraud,
Right.
through frauds within the primary process, people voting who had no legal right.
So he's bringing up the case that we have throughout America now through these primaries. We've had election fraud to get people on the ballot to be elected through fraudulent elections within the primaries. So this has to be stopped. Juan has said that that's what's going to happen. Many of us believe it's going to come down to probably late October. So don't get all excited if you don't see it happen anytime soon, because it has to. Because if we, the president and so forth, the team, were to come in and do it now, there's enough time where they could come in with legal activities and so forth to push it. But if we get it right to that point and then stop it, it's basically stopped. It's very hard to restart it at that point, because the system, grinds and grinds and grinds, and when you stop it, throw something into the wheel, and it comes to a grinding halt. It's very hard to get it going again, but it'll grind away until you do something to stop it. And if you do try to stop it, they can pull out all the cogs and start another process and go ahead and do the election anyway, like I'm talking about, they could go ahead and do it anyway. But if you stop it, close enough to that election and everything's lined up to go with the regular process, it's very hard for them to continue that process and cheat and go forward and say, well, we went through the process like it's normally supposed to be, and we elected, this communist, this communist, this communist, this communist, and this communist throughout the country, guys. We can't have that. And that's one of the things that Juan's been talking about, that President Trump is ready to stop this process. Whether it happens or not remains to be seen. Now, I said a couple days ago that it's going to be very, very hard for us to expose this kind of stuff. And my two guests, I don't know, they were supposed to come on at 5 o'clock. Here it is, almost half an hour in. We're contacting them. They have the link. I don't know why they're not here, but this is part of the things that are going on. I was going to do this show with these guys, and I promoted it, and I got a massive hit. So it's just one of those things. It's going to be very hard. They're going to protect their election steal at every cost. All right. They're going to try every means possible to them to shut down this process that we're trying to expose, and this process that we're trying to stop, the election steal. They're going to do everything in their power to continue this, and their Mockingbird media is going to come out against that possibility, and that's one of the reasons why I hate to say that this is probably what's going to happen, because then the Mockingbird media comes out and denigrates that possibility and the people that might be involved in that, and then the unfortunately it seems like half the population is against us running this, and they're trying to get even more. Even the people that for a long time have been part of the Trump MAGA team, you have people like Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens and Marjorie Taylor Greene now, and lots of different people. I see General Flynn's involved with that group, trying to are they going to promote him as the next presidential candidate? That would be horrific, in my opinion. So if we don't destroy this election theft, then other actors like that group will be able to come in and manipulate the scene as well. So and some people, believe those people are good. I say they're not. There's a lot of people that say they're not. I think it's the same thing. It's like half of us are think they're corrupt, and half love them. It's the same thing that's going on with everything now. It's very difficult in this time frame to expose all this stuff. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to expose it the best that we can. We're trying to get the people on that are going to expose it, but it seems like there's a lot of resistance to that, as we're seeing right now as I'm trying to do this show. All right, so this is where I'm going to sign off. I don't know where these guys are. Like I said, we've been trying to get them on. They're being blocked somehow. This is, like I said, part of the system. And I hate to keep you guys waiting with people that should have been here like half an hour ago. So who knows what's going on their end. All right, I'll play a little bit more of this. Tracy's on the, trying to get these guys to show up. I don't know, but I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and then we're gonna sign off if they don't show up.
And people being obstructed from being on the ballot for all sorts of wonky.
Yeah, like he's saying, people being obstructed. So there should be people on the ballot that would be good for their communities, their governments, and so forth, for America, but they've been restricted, just like it seems like these guys are being restricted. It's crazy. It's crazy right now.
So with that in mind, it's impossible at this moment in time. It's impossible. It's feasibly impossible to correct the coming vote for the midterms, because the primaries have already put people on the ballots who are not the legitimate candidate.
Exactly.
Who aren't there legitimately, okay? Unless you could clean up the primaries before the general election, it would be impossible to have a honest general election at this point in November. For that reason, it's necessary, if you're going to have an honest midterm election, to pause them, to clean up what just happened in the primaries, has happened thus far, what's still happening in the primaries, and then to turn around and allow those to be rerun. See, from the time that people decide to run, and then they got to go out and try to get voters to agree to, put them on the ballot, Democrat, Republican, independent, things like that. That process alone needs pretty much bare minimum, in a worst case scenario, 3 months, and more likely 6 months, to allow people to make the decision, get the campaign financing sorted out so they can run an honest campaign to get on the ballot for at the primary, and then run the rest of the way to the general election. That process.
All right, so probably a 1 year, in my opinion, stand down and clean the elections up, get the right people on the ballot, redo the pre-election, pre-ballot, stuff, primaries, redo the primaries, and make sure there's no cheating going on. I think at least a year. I think at least a year from the point they stop it to the point where we do it again. And I think that could assuage a lot of people. It's like, look, we're going to our country is under threat from foreign governments. They've been coming in and manipulating, and that's being exposed right now in California. That could be brought up and used to show that we have foreign interference in our election system. It happened in 2020. It's been happening for long before that, and I think that this is going to be the thing that goes forward. Now, is that legal? Yes, it can be legal. It's basically there's different ways that can happen. We've had many legal authorities, experts that have talked about how the president has the right to, as commander-in-chief, to basically come in. You could use that angle. You could use the angle of election interference from foreign governments. He could say on the federal level, it's corrupted. We have to clean it up. So there's multiple ways that this can legally be shut down. So golden lock. Hopefully that Goldilocks. Locks 17. So good. That's a good one. Do you have Goldilocks? All right. So that's one of the things that is up, and it's not. I don't think it's going to be debatable with the evidence that they probably have ready to roll out. It's, in my opinion, it's already, there's enough election interference have been exposed that we can shut down this coming election and start to expose the voter fraud from all the different sources, and then start to roll out, I don't know, maybe some kind of blockchain voting process that can't be that could be shown not to be manipulatable. So who knows? Maybe they have that already ready to roll out along with some of the blockchain in the financial institutions. So blockchain can be used in a lot of different ways to not only show the corruption that's out there, but also to stop the corruption and the fraud. All right, because it's so easily you can easily expose it if there was any kind of corruption. And of course, in some cases, it can't be corrupted. All right, guys. That's all I got for right now. I don't know what happened to those guys. Hopefully we can figure it out. Maybe have them on a future show. But this is part of the process of corruption that's going on out there, stopping us from bringing this information out and exposing all the different corruption and so forth. So
He's still on live right now. Just wing it, say, hey, I'm talking to him.
all right, so we're talking to Lewis right now. I don't know if there's some kind of coordination going on between the different staffs or whatever, but
I can drop in 2 minutes. They'll be in 2 minutes.
all right, he's saying he can drop in 2 minutes. All right,
Do it.
and so I'll give it 2 more minutes, and we'll see what happens. Let's play a little bit more of Juan.
The perfect world's a year. So if you shorten and compressed it, would it be fair to candidates to only make it, half a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably could do it. But here's the problem. At this And because they've had a serious voice till now, and they've done important work till now, still don't quite grasp that technically, even legally, it is now past the point of no return to fix this year's elections in November. Why? Because they're already fixed. The fix is in.
Yeah.
The only alternative is a full stop, an emergency stop, a pause. And that's exactly what Trump is going to do. So when people stomp their feet, get
that was
pissed
a
off,
theory.
get
That was
mad
a theory
because-
you had a couple of months ago, but you've gotten confirmation that is more probable now.
Well, I've been saying.
All right, so we got Lewis in the house, so we'll get him up. Lewis, how's it going?
Good. As you can see, I'm just hanging out in the White House with President Trump.
Yeah, very good.
Other than that, everything's fine.
Awesome. So you've had a lot of election fraud that's been going on there in California. I know you got some really good insights about that. Anything you can share with us?
Yeah, in fact, I can summarize it real quick. And first, I'd like to apologize. It took me so long to get on. I guess wires got crossed between everybody, but I'm here. So, you know what? I think I can bet you I can cut it down to the nitty gritty in 5 minutes. It's so powerful. People are going to be very, very upset. And then probably more upset that they're not seeing any movement from the administration in the public eye, right? And no, I'm not doing that because I'm part of the Illuminati. I'm just showing you an eyeball. Although I do have a film coming out about the Illuminati.
Oh,
so
good.
That's why it's on the forefront of my mind. So to give you an idea, I was in a unique position as a candidate when I ran for governor of California that we could pull records a lot quicker than somebody, man on the street or somebody that voted. So knowing that I was leaving, somebody connected me with a gentleman named Christopher Gleason, who's actually running for senator in Florida.
Right.
And he became my main man, and he's amazing. Have you had him on your show yet?
No, I don't know if he's going to be able to make it, but
we'll make it happen.
You earlier, so
yeah, we'll make it happen. His election knowledge is unsurpassed, right? And he understands the games they play. So I signed him on what's called as a designee, which is something that you can do. So on my behalf, he would pull these records, right? And he went hog wild, but he actually went down to LA County. Now, why did I select LA County? Because in the zeitgeist, everybody was talking about Spencer Pratt. The election was stolen from Spencer Pratt. So I knew I had the public behind me, not just the people that are awake, the people that saw something. So I said, okay, what better place to investigate than the one that you already have the public support on, right? Because we're going to need we the people to push this through, because I don't know if there's anybody out there to save us at this moment. So when we got into this, Christopher went down there and he saw a pallet of ballots that says UAA. Now, if you're involved in the elections, you're familiar with UAA as undeliverable as addressed. And that's what the United States Post Office labels them as. So those were returned. Now, to put this in perspective, the average UAAs in any given county, somewhere around 2%. We had 690,000 ballots in LA County alone that were considered UAA, undeliverable as addressed by the post office. Now, you go, well, but there's so many millions of people. But to put it in perspective, that's 12% of the ballots, 11.8% to be exact. 12%. That's 6 times the norm. So Chris is a smart dude. That was a massive red flag. So did some more digging.
Good.
And he found that 130,000 of those undeliverable as addressed magically voted. So that means if we do the math on that part, about 20% of those people had to do one of two things. They had to contact the elections office and said, I never received my ballot. Can you send it to me again? That doesn't happen, just so people know. Or they would have to go in and say, I never received my ballot. I would like a provisional. So statistically, that's under 1%. Yet, around 20% of those voted. So all that is obviously there's some shenanigans going on right there. We could literally stop right there and people should throw up their arms and go, wow, the elections are completely fraudulent. What's going on? So what we did is we did a ton of FOIA requests and CPRAs in regards to that, plus another 400,000 ballots that just appeared out of nowhere. We wanted to look at those. They refused us to look at the 400,000. They put us on what's called a FOIA stall, which we knew. That was give us an extra 14 days to figure this out, right? But then, here's where the bombshell happened. We started digging in specifically on those 130,000, what exactly we needed. In fact, they were ignoring us, so I went so as far as I emailed them, I sent a certified letter and a FedEx with a check into it to prepay for whatever the cost would be for us to audit those 130,000. The response back should make people shudder while they're sleeping. The response back was, here's your check. We can't use this. B, we don't know when we're going to be able to get those records to you. C, we don't know when we could even contact you and let you know when it could happen. And that was it. No more response. It's crickets now. They've been FOIA'd. So now I have to take it to the next level, right? And I can tell you what I just did is I just submitted a HAVA Title III administrative complaint. I did this last week, right? And we have to pay for all of this stuff, right? That's just the way it works. So I had to do the Title III complaint, and the next I have about 2.5 more weeks to do an NVRA. I'm going to go to that. And then I have to do a written preservation retention demand of certain people in LA County. And then there's something we can do that I can't say out loud because I don't want to give it away, but it involves we the people putting something together. It's very powerful. And then I'm probably going to do a writ of mandamus in the Superior Court. So these are the type of things that we're doing to fight for we the people, and we're getting no support. I can't even say very little support. We're just getting No support. We've had people contact people in the administration. They kind of don't want to hear about it. They're blowing it off. That's okay. I don't fuck around, excuse my language. So I'm going to write all the prominent people in the administration this week, and they're going to get a summary of what we have found. And then I'm going to publicize that letter and get some funding to help publicize it and put it all over, advertise it, not blaming them, say, here's what's in front of them. Guys, it's out of my hands. You go ahead and hold these people accountable. The FBI, Harmeet Dillon, President Trump, whoever I add to the letter, Kash Patel. Here it is. We know what's going on. Are they going to do something about it? It's on them now. And I can hear all day long about Q, trust the plan, and that's all great, right? But what if you're wrong? What if there wasn't somebody coming to save us on a white horse and we just stood back and waited? This is, Michael, why you and I have talked about this. I've said from the beginning, we the people are the plan.
Yep.
Because at minimum, let's assume President Trump's going to come in and help save us all in the military, which, by the way, I do believe there's a plan. So I'm not poo-pooing the plan. But let's assume that's true. I think they need to know that the people have the wherewithal to not only assist them, but take the ball, like he said on January 20th, 2017, gave it back to the people, or we're not going to earn this and it's never going to happen. And this is why I'm asking the people to help step up and say, how can we make a difference? What can we do? And I'm going to tell everybody right now, put pressure on the right places with the information that I'm going to lay out in this week. Very easy. Hopefully I can do it one page. It may be 2 pages, something super easy that anybody can say, hey, why isn't this being addressed? And that's what I feel my job is as part of We the People. I try to summarize it as quick as I could for you.
Nice. So, and then what's the step after that? Do you go to some kind of legal representation? You get a judge involved. You get the law enforcement involved and start making arrests. So, I mean,
no, they're not going to do anything. The law enforcement is just turned a blind eye to this,
right?
And that's the sad thing. Well, you know what? You may have something live. I just got a response from, I think it was the post office. Hold on a second. This may be something cool that just popped in. Okay. Somebody has, somebody just texted me saying they have evidence that the post office is hiding something. So, of course, it's just more. That's good, though. That means people are working at this, trying to do what they can.
Yeah. So we're giving them that space because you are pushing, I'm pushing, I'm saying it's like we the people now. I believe that our government is with President Trump is involved on some level. I don't know. I can't see it, but I believe they are. Juan O'Savins talked about how there's going to be an executive order that's basically going to shut down the midterms so that year out we can get the right people on the ballots, because the initial ballots and voting and so forth has been corrupted, and so you have to go through another whole year-long cycle to correct that. But what if that doesn't happen, and then we go into an election which we already know is stolen?
Yep. And what if? Is that not the biggest question out there? And that's the most important one. So a great example is Juan believes that the president is going to sign an executive order and maybe suspend the elections. I've sent a letter to President Trump personally, said there's a way to do that without even suspending it. But let's assume that to be true. Let's use Juan as an example. At the same time Juan is believing that that's going to happen, he's pulling together people to expose the fraud in the elections. Mm-hmm. So this is a perfect example. So He believes that's going to happen, but he's not sitting on his ass doing nothing. He's still putting together people to expose the election. This is what I've been trying to tell people for so many years, and it's getting me frustrated. The trust the plan narrative wasn't about us sitting on our couch with the froggy mask eating popcorn. That's not what that was about. That was about, because that's in the drops 42 times, but 147 times it says the people. So it's about the people getting activated and making a difference. And assuming the military is going to step up, then we work symbiotically with them, right? And that's why this is so important. So I just hope to lead by example in that regards. And at least if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Now, there's lots of, it's all over the news right now, Chinese political corruption, you know, in the elections. So what are you seeing on that? There's incredible amount.
I think it's true, but I think the overall narrative is a psyop, which is good. I understand what that's for, and the reality is let's just talk reality. China, Serbia, Italy, Venezuela, Iran have all been involved in our elections.
Right.
Put those aside for a second. None of them have been more involved than the deep state CIA within inside of our country.
Good point.
So, but it's harder to show exposure inside of our country of the bad actors like the Comeys and so on and so forth, and suspend an election or use the War Powers Act to do that. So how do the bad actors like the Comeys and so on and so forth, and suspend an election or use the War Powers Act to do that? So how do you do that? You have to show that it's foreign invasion that has been doing this, and now you can use the War Powers Act and you can suspend it. So I know this is not the narrative that I'm sure the Trump administration wants to hear. I'm just trying to tell people this is what I believe is really going on, and why there's so much focus on the foreign interference, because you can use that as a tool, which they should, to take care of some things.
Yeah, so Trump claimed China collected 220 million U.S. voter registration files. But that data is easy to obtain in most states, unless you, the federal government, you or me or somebody in the federal government asks for it, and then they can't get it. We can't get it. So, you know, so that's CBS News reporting that, you know, the Mockingbird Media in our face as usual. So again, we, the people, have to, like, you know, push forward and get more involved. You know, just being vocal like we are right now, I don't think is enough. I mean, I'm looking at, you know, directed energy weapon attacks happening in another major city, Spokane. So that's so freaking obvious. It's crazy. Yeah. You know, there's trees right next to cars, and the metal cars are completely burned up, and the tires are gone. This is, come on, guys. It's just so obvious. I mean, I was boots on the ground, did an investigation in Paradise and Lahaina and the Palisades. Literally, physically went to all three locations. Wow, good job.
Right, and I can tell you, there's anomalies between them, but you know what's consistent? There was some actors that were not the wind, right, or not an electrical pole, that were involved in all those fires.
Yeah, and I've done several shows over the last several days that have exposed all that. I've had guests on my program. Yeah, maybe we should do a show, because you've been to all three of them. Wow, that's good.
Yeah, boots on the ground.
It's out there that you know, talks about all of those and more, where he shows the vegetation. That's, you know, there's no way that the vegetation would act the way it's acting. And then you have trees that are burning internally. That's microwave energy, of course, and on and on. And I just did a show earlier. I think it was Paul Preston. He basically, we both talked about all this, and he said he went to 28 days. He was up in Paradise, and he said that there were trees that had completely been burned away all the way down into the root system. And they were going 6 feet down, because the soil is compromised by all the radiation from the, you know, microwave energy and so forth, 6 feet down before they found soil that was uncontaminated. So we both talked about how the systems, the water systems, the piping melted, underground. So that's, again, in Lahaina and in Paradise. And it sounds like you probably know all about this too. The only one that I've been to is there in Malibu and, the areas around there. So,
which, by the way, I think I've proven that's probably not directed energy weapons, but it was smart meters.
I think they're both involved. Yeah.
And I'm the only one that showed that there's smart meters there, because I said, okay, let's check this out. What could this possibly be? Edison International, smart meters. 2012, they have a memo. It's still there on their document. It was there 2 weeks ago. Should be on their website right now. You guys can go there. Go Edison International, smart meters. 2012, we proposed to put smart meters in these cities. There's 98 cities in LA and Ventura County. The 14 cities where they're going to put smart meters.
Wow.
Because they're satanic and they have to tell on themselves. This is the way this works. And when it is just so clear. Boots on the ground again. As you know, I went to North Carolina, I went to Tennessee, and I went to Tampa during Hurricane Helene. That was not a natural disaster.
Right.
There's so much evidence of that. What really got me boots on the ground finally is I'm on the phone with the guy. So I'm watching the news and they're like, so I started to dig into it, right? We are being just manipulated on the highest levels. And I'm so glad that you have been on top of the narrative forever, because people have to hear this. And it's not bullshit. This is real world stuff we're dealing with. And this is my frustration with the elections, is the people that we're supposed to trust are completely ignoring us. And I'm going to put their feet to the fire within the next week, and that's not going to happen anymore. And if they don't like me, I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah. Yep. We need more people fighting like this. It's because, you and I have been doing it for a while and pointing this stuff out. There's other people, of course, that are doing this, but I don't think we're going to win unless we get physically active.
I agree. I agree.
And I'm not talking about violence in the streets. I'm talking about we set up court systems. We start doing arrests. We start our own prison systems. I don't care what that's going to take. If we have to man up people with guns to protect all that stuff, I'm there. I'm ready. Let's go.
And there's a way to do it. We could talk privately about that.
Okay, very good. And so I think that's what's coming. I don't see, unfortunately, the federal government getting involved on the level we keep hearing they are, because we haven't seen that. If we have, like we're talking about, directed energy weapon attacks again, because I thought it was over. I'm like, well, we haven't had them in a long time. They must, the good guys must be in charge, and they're keeping that in check. No, we're seeing it right now happening, up and down the West Coast and around the world. France, we're same situation, burned out houses, green trees around them. Spain, Greece, same. It's not just America. These evil people are around the world.
Look at what's happening in Dubai. Dubai is being flooded for 2 weeks straight of rain, and they openly admit that they were manipulating the weather, and they can't stop it right now.
Wow. Huh.
The madness that is going on right now, it's I think there's also a scorched earth element of it, because I do think the bad guys are losing. So they're going to do as much damage on their way out as possible. Now, in Ventura County, where I live, I was excited for a while because our chemtrails have been gone for like 2.5 months. I'm just excited. And then I decided to dig into it day before yesterday. And you know what I find? That now they have the ability to seed the atmosphere, and it stays up there for almost a year.
Wow.
So they don't have to seed it all the time. They've condensed it so nano-sized that it'll stay up in the atmosphere for a long, long time.
No kidding.
Yep.
That totally makes sense. Yeah, here we haven't seen the chemtrailing like we have in the past, but there's definitely control of the weather, Because normally we'd be having, afternoon rains, we haven't had any. And that's not normal. Of course, we got, El Nino that's happening out there. That eventually, those winds, those seas, and those that atmospheric river is going to start to come our way. It's about ready to flip, I think, and it's going to be, we're burning now, and soon we'll be.
Yep. So it's, what if this is all just to wake us up? Let's go with that narrative. Okay. Well, then wake up and do something about it.
Yeah.
No, just knowing about it really is not going to help. Do something about it. And I get people go, Lewis, what can we do about it? Literally just forward Mike shows every single day.
Absolutely.
That's doing something about it. But take your time, like schedule, say, okay, here's my five guys. I'm going to be on their social media. I'm going to be on their shows, and I'm going to forward it every day. That's it. That's all you have to do. And pray and manifest positivity.
You're amazing as always. Glad we got together. Sorry about the other day. It's crazy stuff that's going on out there.
Yeah.
But we got it together. We kept it quiet, and you just kind of slid in when you slid in, and it worked out pretty good.
My style, Mike.
Yep, and that's the way it's got to be these days. It's crazy. You should be, on top, being the governor of California. Coming up, but I
actually think I'm going to do more damage not being the governor of California.
I hope so.
More damage to the baddies, that is.
Wow, that's going to be something. So I'm looking forward to it. Yep. Pray, guys, and share. This is a way we can work together to take them down.
Yeah, and we've got this. Just because I'm pissed doesn't mean we don't have this. We're just in that phase of we got to act, and that's where we are.
And we've been told that someone's going to come in and take care of business, and just eat the popcorn, have a good time, observing. But now the observation is over. It's time to really start to get more aggressive, and then more aggressive again, and aggressive again, and aggressive again until it's all over for them.
Yep.
All right, Lewis. Thanks so much. Where can people reach you?
Well, my site's being revamped. It's screwbiggov.com. But if you just go on there and click on how to get a hold of me or whatever it is, I don't even know what it is at this time. At least get on my email list, and then I can get you all my everything that's out there. I got tons and tons of platforms. And the reason why we're putting all the links back up on the website is because, again, we get taken down. So that's how you can keep finding us. But, the more we're suppressed, the more we're deleted, the more we just know that we're over the target. So I don't get upset anymore. We just move forward.
Absolutely. All right, my brother. Good to have you on again, and look forward to sharing more of your information as you dig deeper, and you're exposing, like you said. So let's go. Let's get it done. All right.
It could be fun. See you, man. Take care.
You too. Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Trump has dissolved the cabal privately owned U.S. Inc. and declared us U.S. a sovereign nation under common law, no longer to be mind controlled by the cabal deep state. 10 days of communication darkness imminent as the global military alliance makes mass arrests.
Judy, note, President Trump has dissolved the privately owned U.S. Inc., while he has returned to America, common law sovereignty under concepts of the original Constitution. In a move that will go down in American history, President Donald J. Trump has officially invoked the authority vested in him under Article II of the U.S. Constitution, declaring the United States a sovereign nation under common law, no longer under the foreign-controlled corporate structure known as U.S. Inc. This declaration of authority and summons, issued and signed directly by Trump, marks the end of Admiralty law rule and the rebirth of the constitutional republic. The era of foreign manipulation, unconstitutional governance, and globalist occupation was over. Sun. 2 Aug. 2026, breaking update. President Trump declares the restoration of the American Republic, U.S. Inc. DISSOLVED, common law sovereignty RETURNS. This was a historic move on a power struggle of good against evil that has been going on for a very long time. The satanic philosophy of mind control to gain power over the people, including control of their financial system, has been used throughout the centuries by the Illuminati deep state cabal elites. What most people still call the cabal was not a single organization, but a networked system of central banks, intelligence agencies, private foundations, and intergenerational bloodline interests that captured monetary sovereignty after 1913 and expanded it through 2 world wars and the post-1945 order. Because of Trump, global military alliance, and their ongoing mass arrests happening right now of over 500,000 deep state elites, the cabal's plan to rule the world 2030 was reaching a terminal phase. Sun. 2 Aug. 2026. Boom. Explosive truth about the Nuremberg II military tribunals and active continuity of government protocols. This fall of the cabal has been greatly helped along with Trump's July 2026 implementation of the global currency reset of 209 nations. It put world currencies at a 1-1 with each other and returned the people's monies back for use of the people rather than the cabal. Sun. 2 Aug. 2026. Bombshell exclusive. Q drop 3565 decoded. It's going to be biblical. The Vatican. The secret network. American Media Group. We were finally overcoming the cabal's use of mind control to rule the people that greatly increased in 1945 after World War II, when the U.S. recruited over 1,600 Nazi scientists, engineers, and technicians, high-ranking members of the SS, who were complicit in war crimes, to lead the nation's most sensitive scientific and intelligence agencies. George Bush Sr. Von Braun and colleagues soon organized the CIA using the occult knowledge of Satan worship, torture of a young child, and their developing brain to divide their thinking patterns onto multiple personalities, and thus have lifelong control over them, and advanced propulsion theories that the Nazis had been developing in secret. They used the NASA narrative as a front to continue their research into anti-gravity, frequency weapons, mind control psychological warfare, mass surveillance, and black site interrogations. Philosophies were still embedded in our government agencies even today. The original CIA program, eventually known as MKULTRA, consisted of 149 subprojects, plus another 33 closely related programs. The Dr. Phil Show segment came out the same week as release of Jenny's biography, 22 Faces. Strangely, that same week Douglas Messner, aka Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, managed to put up 51-star negative ratings about the book on the 22 Faces and Big Tech and many other like corporations, even employers, are getting in on the tech, as the WEF demonstrated years ago, which can monitor their employees' thoughts in real time. Colorado was the first state to quietly pass legislation attempting to protect American citizens' privacy, which includes your literal thoughts. This isn't science fiction, this is already here. The horrible conditions of Democrat-run Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, 3 years after cabal DW attacks made over 5,000 residents homeless. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley recently announced they'd created something called stim dust. Stim dust gave the operator control over a person's nervous system. According to a press release, stim dust has, quote, opened the door for wireless communication to the brain and peripheral nervous system through tiny implantable devices inside body that are powered by ultrasound. Stim dust was advertised for use of medical purpose, but if you took a look at who funded the research, it was obviously a part of the cabal's plan to control your thinking in their Agenda 2030 plan to rule the world. What we thought we knew, but didn't really know and now are supposed to know but don't have a clue. With clones, doubles, made-up movies Hollywood-style and Trump's military alliance throwing more popcorn at us, it gets so confusing. Sun. 2 Aug. 2026. There is a second internet called ARPA-7. There is documentation that lists 4,200 active terminals worldwide. Located in every major intelligence agency, every central bank, every military command structure in NATO, and here's where it gets dark, 147 private residences. The 147 private terminals have been identified, their locations logged, their owners known. Every message sent on ARPA-7 in the last 48 years is now in the hands of the military tribunal. They built a private internet to plan the enslavement of the world. They forgot that every network, no matter how secret, leaves a trace when you have quantum decryption. The second internet just became the largest crime scene in human history. The superior general of the Society of Jesus, known as the Black Pope, and his Jesuit order is a military intelligence structure with a mission to subjugate peoples of the world to the New World Order. They operate through a network of universities, secret societies, and government infiltration that spans the planet. They have spent centuries placing their operatives in the highest levels of education, science, and politics. Most of the world's leaders, from presidents and prime ministers to the heads of central banks, were educated in Jesuit universities, where they are trained in the ability to justify any action, no matter how immoral, if it serves the greater glory of the order. They work in tandem with the Knights of Malta and the CIA, which was founded by Knights of Malta, to manage the global theater. They use their control over education to ensure that each generation is programmed with the correct version of history and science. The Alliance has revealed that the Jesuit Black Pope and the high-ranking members of the order are currently being neutralized. The secret oaths that bound the world's leaders to this military structure are being broken. The Vatican Bank, which served as the primary laundering facility for the order's global operation.
Possible timing. Judy note on Saturday, August 1st, 2026, the below dates were published by several valid sources but could not be confirmed. On Friday, July 31st, 2026, the global currency reset ignited across 209 nations as the quantum financial system went fully live overnight. On Monday, August 3rd, 2026, the Starlink emergency broadcast system streams. On Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, 10 Days of Darkness intensifies with a full media blackout. Starting Thursday, August 6, 2026, initial redemption centers in the US and EU were expected to go live for private appointment scheduling. And Friday, August 7th, 2026, martial law enforcement was expected to complete mass arrests of remaining deep state medical elite.
The quantum financial system, the structure of control that has governed global finance for more than a century, is reaching its terminal phase. What most people still call the cabal is not a single organization, but a networked system of central banks, intelligence agencies, private foundations, and intergenerational bloodline interests that captured monetary sovereignty after 1913 and expanded it through 2 world wars and the post-1945 order. NESARA, National Economic Security and Recovery Act, and its global counterpart GESARA were never canceled. They were classified, delayed, and buried under successive layers of legal and media suppression. The core mechanisms inside NESARA-GSARA include the restoration of constitutional money, the elimination of the Federal Reserve's private control over currency, the forgiveness of certain categories of public and private debt, and the return to an asset-backed monetary standard. These mechanisms were designed to operate in sequence with a new technological layer, the quantum financial system, QFS. QFS is not a public blockchain. It is a secured, multi-layered settlement architecture that has been tested and partially activated in the background for years. Its purpose is to replace the legacy SWIFT, central bank clearing system, with instantaneous, transparent, and auditable settlement that cannot be manipulated by the same institutions that currently sit at the top of the old hierarchy. Stellar was selected as one of the visible public rails that would interface with QFS once the transition order is given. The reason is structural. Stellar already provides fast, low-cost settlement and has been quietly integrated into pilot corridors involving major financial institutions and certain sovereign entities. The flip is the operational name for the final coordinated switch. It is not a single button. It is a sequenced series of actions. The freezing of selected cabal-linked accounts, the simultaneous activation of QFS settlement nodes, the public announcement of NESARA-GSARA provisions, and the migration of value onto the new rails, including Stellar. The delay that has frustrated observers is deliberate. Premature disclosure would have triggered capital flight and institutional collapse before the new architecture was fully ready. The current phase is the controlled exposure of the old system's insolvency, while the new one is held in readiness. Those who understand the sequence are not waiting for a single event. They are tracking liquidity movements, legal filings, military financial task forces, and the quiet repositioning of physical assets. The cabal still controls the narrative machinery, which is why the public conversation remains focused on distractions. The underlying architecture, however, has already moved past the point of
It's the 3rd of August, 2026. And it's all being exposed for those people who can see. Netanyahu saying that Jesus Christ is the same as Genghis Khan. Mocking Jesus Christ. Are you awake yet? And you get these Zionist Christians out there. None of it makes any sense. This is how Satan works. Distraction, distraction, distraction. Stick to the truth. Everything has become distorted. And this is all done to try and collapse what's real. They've tried to normalize so many things. You know, I was only doing this. It's adultery. It's fornication. I misspoke. It's a lie. Let's call things what they really are. You either love the Lord Jesus and remain faithful to the Lord Jesus, or you're on the other side, which is satanic. It's black or white. The waters have been muddied. The swamp is filthy dirty and is being drained. The question I have for you today is, which side are you on? Or are you still stuck in the mire, in the grey bit in the middle, in the swamp? It's time to pick a side. The road is very narrow for those people who choose the path of righteousness, who choose the right path. It's down to you to choose. Don't sit on the fence. There is no fence. You'll land on the wrong side. It's good to see so many people who are standing up for what's right and who are pointing out what's wrong. The side that's on the side of evil, that's on the wrong side, will try and distract you and distort the truth. They even create their own terminology. Misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. It's either the truth or it's a lie. Let's get back to basics. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. And my first story is the United States could be approaching a defining moment of cryptocurrency regulation. The Clarity Act has already passed the House and cleared the Senate Banking Committee with updated legislation released on the 22nd of July. But the final hurdle remains, and a full Senate vote still has not been officially confirmed. Supporters are pushing for the action before August recess. And I'm sure Trump said, you're not moving and we're not going into recess until this is decided. But disagreements over stable coin rewards, political ethics and government officials' involvement in crypto continues to hold up progress. If passed, which I'm hoping should be today, the act would establish clearer boundaries between the SEC and the CFTC and create federal rules for digital assets, exchanges and token issuers. Momentum is building, but let's be clear, the Clarity Act is progressing, not passed and not law yet.
Well, this is all part of the collapsing of the old banking system. a banking system that was completely corrupt, was set up many, many years ago. It was called the Federal Reserve. There was nothing federal about it, and it had no reserves. I remember many years ago having an argument with somebody in America about the Federal Reserve being privately owned. His attitude was, you guys from across the pond have no idea what you're talking about. Well, we did, didn't we? We actually did. Sometimes you can live in such a tight little bubble, you can't see anything for what it really is. The banks have been desperate to stop or change the Clarity Act because they get, at the moment, they have control over your lives. But now is the time of education for those people who are going to have to learn very quickly to be responsible, because you are going to become your own bank. And this is what the Clarity Act will do. It'll provide you with your own sovereignty. Because up until now, you've let the banks control everything. And I went through this horrific experience in 2020 where they shut down all of my bank accounts overnight without warning. They control your life. Now, with the new digital currency that is now very much in plain sight, you become your own bank. So you can't get shut down. But you can imagine the old controllers don't like that. There are many people right now who are more than capable of managing their own money, who don't need a bank. And in fact, if you go back to the 1940s and 1950s, and you remember grandparents or parents, grandparents, or even great-grandparents, they didn't trust the banks then. There's many people of those generations who kept their money under the floorboards, under the bed. I think we all know somebody who did that because they realized then how much control they had. Well, that control just got greater and greater and greater, and it got ignored because they made it look like you had freedom. But you only have freedom as long as they allow you to believe that and have it. And when it actually comes home and they turn that tap off, the question I have for you is, what will you do? We're watching things happen all over the world. Japan, this weekend, was on the verge of going bankrupt until the US stepped in and bought an abundance of yen. But they bought an abundance of yen with paper. I can't imagine for 1 minute they sent a truckload of gold or silver over. They gave them a load of paper with, I promise to pay the bearer. Promises, promises, promises. Until Japan goes, hang on, we want something of value. Your paper's not worth jack. Whatever. And we're all beginning to learn this lesson. My next story is about what's going on, what started off in Ukraine and then went across to Venezuela and is now Israel. These wars, these endless wars, it's easy to point the finger as to who's responsible, but you have to unpeel it to see what's at the heart of it. We already know that the organizations like Hamas, that is being dismantled at the moment in the Middle East by Donald Trump's team, Hamas was set up by the CIA and Mossad, America and Israel. But it wasn't just the United States and Israel that set this up. It was under the control of the British Empire, the City of London. You have to dig deep to find out who's pulling the strings. We're all looking at the puppets on the stage. Netanyahu, just a puppet. They're all just puppets. But the question is, who's hidden behind the scenes? And when you dig deep, it always comes back to the British Empire and the City of London. And I thank God that America, after 250 years and a good leader now, has finally got its own real independence and is no longer the slave of the City of London or the British Empire. That is being dismantled in plain sight. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. The more I tell you, the lazier you get. Do your research. You'll find out for yourself. When you find out, that's what wakes you up.
The Secret Space Program, SSB, the Solar Warden Fleet, and the Galactic Trade. While the public is entertained with the slow, expensive progress of NASA's rocket launches, a massive, highly advanced fleet of spacecraft has been operating in our solar system since the 1980s. Known as Solar Warden, this secret space program was built using the trillions of dollars missing from the Pentagon's budget. It consists of massive, cigar-shaped carrier ships, some over 800 meters long, and a fleet of smaller, triangular scout craft. They don't use liquid fuel. They use anti-gravity and torsion field propulsion, allowing them to travel from Earth to Mars in a matter of hours. Solar Warden was established through a secret alliance between the U.S. military and several non-human factions. Its primary mission is to police our solar system and manage the galactic trade that has been happening behind the backs of the human population. The elite have been trading human resources and ancient artifacts for advanced technology that they keep for themselves in the DUMBS. This is the breakaway civilization, a group of humans who have access to technology, medicine, and knowledge that is hundreds of years ahead of the surface world. They have essentially left the rest of humanity behind in a technological dark age. The Alliance has recently gained control of the Solar Warden command structure. This is why we see a sudden push for Space Force in the public eye. It is the gradual normalization of the technology before the full disclosure. The secret bases on the Moon, Lunar Operations Command, and on Mars are being cleaned of the old Cabal leadership. The Dark Fleet, a rogue faction that was working with negative entities to maintain the Matrix, has been neutralized. The battle for the high ground of space is over, and the assets are being returned to the service of humanity. The Great Disclosure will include the reveal of the Solar Warden Fleet and the technology of teleportation and replicator systems that have been used in space for decades. The era of being confined to a single planet is ending. We are moving from being a Type 0 civilization to a galactic one. The UFOs you see in the sky are often our own ships, finally showing themselves as the frequency of the Earth rises. The sky is no longer a limit, it is a bridge. Code Solar Warden / Breakaway Civilization / Lunar OPS Space Force Truth. They told you that space was empty and hard to reach. They lied to keep you from realizing they had already moved in. The fleet is coming home. The final frontier was conquered decades ago. It's time for the rest of us to see the Jesuit order, the ARCHITCTS of the Matrix, and the power of the Black Pope. While the world looks at the White Pope in the Vatican as the ultimate spiritual authority, the real power lies in the shadows with the superior general of the Society of Jesus, known as the Black Pope. The Jesuit order is not just a religious organization. It is a military intelligence structure founded by Ignatius of Loyola, a former soldier, with the specific mission of total subjugation of the world under a single global authority. They are the primary architects of the New World Order, operating through a network of universities, secret societies, and government infiltrations that spans the entire planet. The Jesuits are the masters of infiltration instead of invasion. They have spent centuries placing their operatives in the highest levels of education, science, and politics. Most of the world's leaders, from presidents and prime ministers to the heads of central banks, were educated in Jesuit universities like Georgetown, Fordham, or the Gregorian University in Rome. They are trained in the art of casuistry, the ability to justify any action, no matter how immoral, if it serves the greater glory of the order. They are the confessors of the elite, holding the secrets of the powerful and using them as leverage to steer global policy. The Jesuit order controls the Vatican Intelligence Network, which is the oldest and most extensive in the world. They work in tandem with the Knights of Malta and the CIA, which was founded by Knights of Malta to manage the global theater. They are the ones who perfected the Hegelian dialectic, creating the problem, managing the reaction, and providing the predetermined solution. Whether it's a revolution, a war, or a financial collapse, the Jesuits are the ones writing the script from the safety of their cloisters. They are the engineers of the mind, using their control over education to ensure that each generation is programmed with the correct version of history and science. The Alliance has revealed that the Jesuit Black Pope and the high-ranking members of the order are currently being neutralized. The secret oaths that bound the world's leaders to this military structure are being broken. The Vatican Bank, which served as the primary laundering facility for the order's global operations, has been taken over by the QFS. The era of the shadow priests, ruling through secrecy and psychological warfare, is ending. The black and white popes are both being removed from the board, and the spiritual sovereignty of humanity is being returned to the individual. The Matrix is losing its architects. Code, Black Pope / Jesuit infiltration / Hegelian dialectic / Society of Jesus, they told you they were teachers and missionaries. They lied to hide the fact that they were the generals of an invisible army. The school is out, and the truth is the new teacher. The power of the robe is fading in the light of the soul. The architects are out of ink, and the building is falling.
Did you know there are two developing news coming out? We're hearing that the U.S. power grid is likely going to be targeted in attacks here in the United States by Iran. Now, this comes as we are hearing that 7 states now have been confirmed for being hit with cyber attacks on water supply systems, and we're hearing this is likely Iran as well. And we have now received confirmation on 2 of those states, and who they are as the FBI is trickling out information as to who it was that was hit in these attacks. Let's go and take a look at the latest headlines coming out today so that way you can see it for yourself. August 1st, 2026, as Trump weighs Iran strikes, Tehran vows to target U.S. energy assets and Israeli infrastructure. In addition to that, coming out in the last 24 hours, Iranian lawmakers are threatening the U.S. power grid if Iran is attacked. And as I mentioned, this comes as water systems in 7 states in the U.S. were hit with cyber attacks confirmed by the FBI. And Iranian hackers are suspected in these cyber attacks on U.S. water systems. Now, when this first initially came out, we had heard confirmation that Minnesota and Wisconsin were 2 of the 7 states. It has now been confirmed today that in addition to that, Michigan and Georgia are 2 other states. Now, we're waiting to get confirmation on the other 3 that we've heard initially have been hit in this 7-state attack. However, we're hearing the 5th likely one to be revealed is probably going to be California. So in addition to these 7 states, they're saying all U.S. states should be on alert. And now we're receiving the warnings about our U.S. power grid system being targeted as well.
Trump activated Operation Iron Shield on Iran to neutralize all Iranian weapons facilities, eliminate all terrorist proxy networks, secure all evidence of deep state complicity, and prevent any retaliation. Gitmo tribunals have begun. Gold redistribution restores wealth to the people. Arrests skyrocket as the golden age unfolds. Pray for the children. Pray for the youth of Ohio foster care. Pray for Caitlin. Fight to save our Constitution. John F. Kennedy, Jr. Quote from Albert Einstein: "The world is a dangerous place to live. Not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it." That's so true. Judy note, on Saturday, August 1st, 2026 afternoon, President Trump held an emergency classified briefing at Camp David, where he presented the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Space Force Command, CIA Director, NSA Director, and 23 military strategists undeniable evidence of Iranian weapons smuggling to terrorist organizations. There was satellite imagery, bank transfers, and communications intercepts, everything. The evidence was so devastating that the Joint Chiefs had no choice but to authorize immediate action, and Trump gave the order for Operation Iron Shield, a surgical precision operation designed to 1. Neutralize all Iranian weapons facilities, 2. Eliminate all terrorist proxy networks, 3. Secure all evidence of deep state complicity, and 4. Prevent any retaliation. The operation was happening in real time as you read this. Space Force satellites were monitoring every moment every movement. Military intelligence was tracking every communication. The deep state elites were panicking. The cabal's proxy in the Middle East was about to be completely dismantled. Politicians who secretly funded Iran were being exposed. Media moguls who covered it up were being arrested. Military contractors who profited from the conflict were under investigation. What happens next? When Trump officially addresses the nation, the full scope of this operation will be revealed. The politicians who funded terrorism will face military tribunals. The generals who betrayed America will be court-martialed. The media that lied to the American people were about to be shut down. The endless war with Iran was over. The age of American strength was beginning. The alliance has won. Trump has won. America has won. The next 48 hours will be explosive. Revelations will be shocking. The world will never be the same. You're witnessing the greatest military operation in American history. You're witnessing the Great Awakening. You're witnessing justice. Code, Operation Iron Shield activated. Code, Iran checkmate complete. Code, Deep State exposed. Code, America winning. The above information was never supposed to leave the Situation Room, but the alliance decided Americans deserve the truth. The deep state media is completely silent because they know what this means. Share this. The Commander-in-Chief's in total control. What we thought we knew but didn't really know, and now we're supposed to know but don't have a clue. Saturday, August 1st, 2026, the horrible conditions of Democrat-run Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, 3 years after Cabal-Do attacks made over 5,000 residents homeless. Saturday, August 1st, Executive Order 2026-1947, allowing public use of medbeds is real. The pharmaceutical industry was given exactly 90 days to comply with the declassification. Saturday, August 1st, the Rothschild Satan worshippers who have controlled European banks since 1815 also have controlled the skies for 47 years through a network of 22 weather modification stations that could direct hurricanes, droughts, floods, and earthquakes like Hurricane Katrina in Haiti 2010. Their program called Throne Climate was funded by a labyrinth of NGOs, carbon credit systems, and green energy foundations. They caused $4.2 trillion in natural disaster damages since 1979. Why? Because the weather controls everything, and the disasters were a money-making venture where they could also further control the people. Food prices, insurance markets, government stability, migration systems, election outcomes. A few days ago, the last Rothschild station was disconnected, seized in an operation by Trump's global military alliance that involved 6 nations. The weather was no longer a weapon for the first time since 1979. Saturday, August 1st, 2026, the official story of the lone gunman in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963 is one of the most transparent lies in human history. He was publicly executed by the deep state as a warning to any future leader who dared to challenge the invisible government. JFK was systematically dismantling the pillars of the cabal's power: the CIA, the military-industrial complex, and most importantly, the private central banking system. The smoking gun that led to his execution was Executive Order 11110. Signed on June 4, 1963, this order gave the president the authority to issue silver-backed currency, bypassing the Federal Reserve. The alliance has revealed that the mission JFK started is finally being completed. The QFS, Quantum Financial System, is the modern realization of Executive Order 11110, a return to gold and silver-backed currency that renders the Federal Reserve obsolete. The Secret Service and the CIA structures that facilitated the assassination are being purged. JFK's son, JFK Jr., and the military patriots who remain loyal to the Republic have been working in the shadows for decades to prepare for this moment. Saturday, August 1st, U.S. Treasury holdings exposed. Over $2.3 trillion in off-ledger assets have been quietly positioned through U.S. Treasury Alliance channels since 2018. They were stored across strategic reserves in Texas, Nevada, Colorado, and Alaska. These assets were never recorded in public balance sheets, restructured under emergency authorization protocols. Internal documents link these holdings directly to the ISO 20022 transition framework, preparing a full asset-backed settlement layer, Tier 4B. Saturday, August 1st, Democrats chose the year 2014 for Anthony Fauci's pardon because that's when Barack Obama and Fauci took over the Ukraine biolabs, started working on bioweapons. 2014 was the year the CIA took over the Ukraine government under CIA supervision. Ukraine fell into civil war in February 2014. Global currency reset, Saturday, August 1st. Starting Thursday, August the 6th, initial redemption centers in the US and EU are expected to go live for private appointment scheduling. These centers are pre-designated quantum access locations for early adopters and pre-authorized individuals to transition into the QFS ecosystem. I've seen documentation outlining the process. Biometric scan entry, currency exchange at fixed quantum rates, onboarding to sovereign asset accounts, immediate digital wallet deployment.
Behind the scenes, the banking world is making moves that confirm QFS is locking into place at the highest levels. For the first time, we're seeing clear signs from major financial institutions and authorities that they have embraced the new system. Central banks. Several central banks have quietly updated policies to reflect a gold-backed standard. Today, a few even adjusted official reports to show expanded gold reserves now supporting their currency. Insiders say that just last night, central bankers held emergency calls to coordinate this historic switch. It's subtle, but a global shift to asset-backed money is underway. Major banks. Internal memos at multiple large banks indicate their systems are live on QFS. One top-tier bank even congratulated staff in a confidential bulletin for a successful transition. While public statements remain cautious, these institutions are preparing to guide customers through the changes. From seeing debts wiped off accounts to navigating the new digital wallet interface. Currency reevaluations. The long-anticipated global currency reset has begun. Users are now seeing updated exchange rates in their QFS wallets for certain currencies. For example, holders of the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong are reporting dramatically higher values overnight, reflecting those nations' true asset wealth. These quiet adjustments confirm that every currency is being readjusted to its real, commodity-backed worth. Instant settlements. International transfers that once took days are now completing in seconds. Early cross-border tests on QFS saw money sent from Asia to Europe arrive almost instantly with zero fees. Such speed and efficiency was impossible under the old SWIFT system, proving that banks have indeed switched over to the quantum network for moving funds. Piece by piece, the financial establishment is affirming the QFS revolution. It's no longer speculation or trial runs, it's in progress across the globe. As these institutional confirmations roll in, it won't be long before the whole world acknowledges that the financial system has fundamentally changed.
What we think we know as of Sunday, August 2nd, 2026. Saturday, August 1st, 2026. No wonder New Jersey has non-citizens on their voter rolls and is trying to cover up the fraud. The New Jersey 2022 election for governor was won by Republican Chittarelli with 100% votes counted, then flips to the Democrat candidate overnight. Sounds familiar, just like the 2020 election. Chittarelli already won the 52.2% of the votes with 100% of the votes counted. And then just flip it right before your eyes? When they don't get their way, Democrats can't win without cheating, and Americans are sick of it. It's time to end this fraud once and for all. Saturday, August 1st, 2026. Dr. Stephen Greer, a longtime UFO researcher, warns that rogue actors inside the government are on the verge of staging a fake alien invasion across the entire planet. Now remember, Charlie Ward said this a while back. He says the operation would be so advanced it could easily deceive most of the world, including top government officials. The goal, he claims, is to manufacture fear, justify a one-world government with unlimited power and zero accountability. The ability to hoax an attack on our planet is real. Remember the TV series called V? And then they did a remake of that TV series. It was actually pretty good, but for some reason, the last season was canceled. And that was like the most important season because it shows you how the humans beat the reptilian hybrid, shape-shifting aliens. Suspiciously accurate as far as, the invasion. I mean, reptilian, we know those are real now. You know, I don't think that's a coincidence. Saturday, August 1st, the Spanish government announces nearly 48,000 African third world migrants have been returned to Morocco after roughly 60,000 plus invaded into Ceuta.
The JFK assassination, Executive Order 11,110, and the War on the Federal Reserve. The official story of the lone gunman in Dallas on November is one of the most transparent lies in human history. John F. Kennedy was not killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. He was publicly executed by the deep state as a warning to any future leader who dared to challenge the invisible government. JFK was systematically dismantling the pillars of the cabal's power, the CIA, the military-industrial complex, and most importantly, the private central banking system. He was the first alliance president of the modern era, and he paid the ultimate price for his attempt to liberate humanity. The smoking gun that led to his execution was Executive Order. The current voice does not support reply language. This order gave the president the authority to issue silver-backed currency, bypassing the Federal Reserve. JFK had already begun printing $4 billion in United States notes, money that belonged to the people, interest-free, backed by the silver and the Treasury. This was a direct death blow to the Rothschild-owned Federal Reserve. If JFK had lived, the debt slavery system would have been abolished in the 1960s. The bankers could not allow the printing press to be returned to the hands of the people. JFK also famously declared his intention to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it into the winds. After the Bay of Pigs betrayal, he realized that the agency was not serving the United States, but was acting as the private army of the global elite. Just months before his death, he gave a chilling speech warning about a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. He was talking about the 13 bloodlines and the secret societies that I have exposed in these files. He was breaking the code of silence. The alliance has revealed that the mission JFK started is finally being completed. The QFS quantum financial system is the modern realization of Executives Order 11,110, return to gold and silver-backed currency that renders the Federal Reserve obsolete. The Secret Service and the CIA structures that facilitated the assassination are being purged. JFK's son, JFK Jr., and the military patriots, who remained loyal to the Republic, have been working in the shadows for decades to prepare for this moment. The truth about Dallas is the key that unlocks the door. His vision is finally becoming our reality. Code JFK A011110. Silver certificates, CIA splinter, Alliance legacy. They told you it was a tragedy to keep you from noticing the CO has a way of coming back to life. The script they wrote in 1963 is being torn up. The era of the puppet presidents is over.
Hell, the holistic tech wizard from religious exile to multidimensional strategist. The last time he was on, he warned about the coming AI tech entry into our lives on a massive scale, and boom, here it is. And now he's going to tell us how to get out of it. Joshua, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me, man. It wasn't that long ago that we last talked, but boy, has a lot changed.
No kidding, no kidding. And you've broken free on many different levels. We're just talking about how your holistic group is, had a bunch of chickens. You guys, made available to everybody because you raised them, and you're taking care of business out there on your own. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on for you.
Yeah, well, I spend my days like deep in AI and tech and building agents and doing incredible things. And then I clock off and I go outside and then like to get my hands in the dirt or something of the equivalent. Like I said, we just processed 83 meat birds on Saturday. Lots of challenges, and we raised those birds from baby chicks.
Wow.
Something I learned, like 80 baby chicks are really loud. Put them all together. But through that process, my mutual aid group, we were able to, pick a project, invest in it, and then see it through. And we did a phenomenal job working together when it was time to to process all those birds. And now we have birds in our freezers, and we know they led a happy life. We know what went in them. We know what didn't go in them. And the kids, they got to witness that whole process as well. So I think it's just really doing a lot of good on all fronts.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, you're doing it on every single level. You're breaking free from the AI tech control system, building something outside of that, like with the chickens, and you're also doing it with tech. So you're very, very skilled in the tech business. You're breaking free from that system. You're teaching other people how to break free, how to build their own businesses, free from the tech control system. So how's that going?
Yeah, well, a good analogy is that right now I'm writing the AI frontier models. So like ChatGPT, Claude, if your audience has heard of that, I'm on that train, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can in order to understand, how AI can be used for good, and ready to jump off that crazy train before it heads off into the panopticon. Now, panopticon is essentially a prison where they have the guards in a central tower, and they have like two-way mirrors up. And so the prisoners around that really don't know when they're being watched or when they're not being watched. This is something that was developed in I think late 1800s, but it was a really good way of controlling human behavior. When you're being watched, people tend to police themselves. And we're heading into a digital panopticon with the technology that's now rolling out, with the plans over the last 100 years, multi-generational plans of how to, control society now coming into play. This missing component was the AI to process all the data that we've been spewing online for the last 20 years, and be able to harness that into a way of adding to surveillance, all the flock cameras that are going up right now, or at least everybody's becoming aware of them. Combining surveillance, that data, and then our internet behavior processed by AI can then, really control us. And something I did over the weekend, this is where, after doing the chickens and finally just cleaning up around the house, I was thinking about, how do I consume media? I really like to watch YouTube. I know there's alternative versions out there, but just YouTube is just really convenient. And I like long form content. And over the years, I've developed my own, who I follow, who I subscribe to. And I was thinking about it, what? I really am curious about what the algorithm is feeding me, what's on the homepage, and what's being shown to me. And so, because I have agents, I'm able to actually tell it to go do stuff like this. I told it to go to YouTube, scroll down my homepage, look at the 50 videos that are being fed to me. Then I was able to go to Google Takeout and examine all the data of YouTube that is my habits, what videos I've watched, which ones I've clicked on, which ones I commented on. So I was able to combine that information, give it to my agent, my AI agent, and say, find some interesting, behaviors out of this. 40% of my viewership goes to recommended videos that are YouTube is giving to me. Not that I subscribe to, but that's a pretty high amount of, information that I'm taking in. And I've been able to, I'm a pretty aware person, but I have been aware that, information that comes in, just because it might be long form information, doesn't mean it has depth to it. There's a lot of opinion content out there, and more, or less and less, people are showing the sources of where information is coming from. And so you're just kind of casually consuming information, accepting it as fact. And when it's coming to you in multiple different areas, right, it has the power to influence our ideas and our behaviors. And we might be like, oh yeah, I didn't think like this 3 months ago, but now I do for some reason. So I had AI examine YouTube. I had to examine my Facebook feed. I had to examine my X feed in order to like see how the algorithm is like influencing me. And I'm creating a skill to be able to just share this with other people so they can actually like do this too, right? Because we don't think about this stuff. We're just, living life and trying to survive and work. And then, I got a couple minutes. I'm going to check out the feed, right? See what's new. And when you're down in it, you're just like, looking for stuff that's relevant, stuff that catches your eye. And so it's just really hard to like have that bird's eye view of like, what am I actually being fed? And it was really fascinating to see the difference between the networks and how they kind of like help each other out and which network is good for what stuff. X come to find out is good for like quick research, right? You can quickly get a kind of a pulse of what's going on in the world, but it doesn't have a lot of depth to it. YouTube tends to have a lot of depth, but as I said, there's a lot of long form content now, 10-minute clips, hour-long clips, and it might not have actual sources to it. Facebook is a lot about, for my feed at least, a lot about community and connection and local events and things like that. So being able to like examine from a bird's eye view, I'm able to see how am I being influenced and kind of audit myself and audit my media. I was able to have it give me recommendations for who to subscribe to, so that it's not just like one political echo chamber, right? Or I'm a very I'm suspicious of institutions. This is what AI told me, and so being able to get a more well-rounded, who I subscribe to, so that I can get contrasting opinions and views. I think that's a good thing. But being able to like leverage AI to help us like get out of the weeds, examine, our lives. And this is just one example that I'm sharing with your audience of like how this can be a powerful tool versus just trying to survive and, make it through the day. Because a lot of us are like that. I'm raising an 8-year-old, got a family, got 2 businesses with my wife. And a lot of times you just have enough resources just to like get through the day. And honestly, that's where they want you. They, meaning the controlling power structures of the world. Because if you're too frazzled to examine like, hey, what is this information that I'm constantly being inundated with every day? Even though I think it's fun, entertaining, helpful, being able to examine these things is like something that AI is really good at. And now circling back, this is also being used against us because we've been trailing this data for 20 years. And now combined with the flock cameras, combined with, the digital IDs that are being forced upon states and, the country, there is more and more data sets being triangulated on us that AI can process within seconds to, unfortunately, create that digital panopticon that I was talking about in the beginning.
Is that one of the main reasons why they're building these AI centers to collect all this, to hold all this data against us, really, if you look at it that way?
ChatGPT doesn't need all those data centers in order to, help you create a recipe for dinner, right? These data centers have been being built for, 15 years at least in like large scale. And what's really fascinating, when the current administration got their first day in office, they signed a bunch of what's it called? To counter a lot of laws from the previous administration. They come in and sign.
Yeah. You signed it quite a bit. Yep.
Well, the very first thing he signed was to to fast track data centers. So that was his number one priority getting into office. So that just kind of paints the picture of like how important these things are. And it's not for, faster ChatGPT. It has to do with that, track trace database surveillance system that's being built around us, because lo and behold, the missing component AI is now like here and it can be put to use.
Well, it can be used for good and for evil. We're seeing, there were millions of people came across the border that shouldn't have. Maybe there's a lot of information that's been collected on them. I would hope so. We're seeing, demonstrations in some cities by, radical Muslim groups in Michigan. So we're maybe there's a lot there. Cameras are like flock cameras are looking at them and collecting data. This, when I was in the CIA, this would have been a dream, absolute dream. And here it is. I hate to see it in my country, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Gulag Archipelago was missing AI. They had a really good system, but they didn't have AI to run it. And unfortunately, like 100 years later, this is where we are, where that missing component is now, available. And it's a tool. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. I spend all week, coaching individuals and businesses on how to leverage this stuff, understanding the difference between closed and open source AI so that you can maintain the control of your own data. You can control the guardrails that the AI that you're dealing with. And back to the analogy of the crazy train, right? I'm like trying to learn as much as I can using these frontier models to then jump off and be able to then use local open source models on my computer. The data stays in my office, and I'm able to then take advantage of all the features and really help people out managing their life, managing their businesses, helping with big decisions, helping with the 1,000 of digital paper cuts we get each day, just trying to keep up on our notifications, our emails, our text messages. And this stuff is like by design to just swamp us. Our brains can't handle this much information that we are constantly processing every day. And so I really see the opportunity now showing up that we can create digital moats around us, get away from these screens. I think I'm about 6 months away from being able to just talk to AI in the morning, get a report. I call it the Godfather life, right? He's sitting at the table. He has somebody come up, whisper in his ear. He's like, yeah, no, cut it, kill it. All right, good. And AI can just go and do stuff, which AI is doing stuff now.
Right.
And then you can just walk away. You can just walk away from your emails knowing that AI's, trustworthy AI is monitoring your emails, monitoring your text messages, can bring important stuff up to you, but also hold back all that noise so that I can just go out and live my life. I can go out, work out in the field, hang out with friends, build community. And I know that things aren't falling down just because I haven't looked at my email in 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Which AI are you using and do you recommend?
Great question. And my answer pretty much changes every week. About a month ago, I was using Claude for about 80% of my work. And earlier this year, I set up my AI agent that basically there's harnesses, it's called. Harnesses that can connect to any AI that you want. They use API, and so they're just bringing in like ChatGPT. They're bringing in Claude's model. They're bringing in open source models. They can bringing in Chinese models. And each week, new models are just coming out. There's literally hundreds of models to choose from. I have a couple that run locally on my computer, and so I'm able to use the best model out there, which right now is kind of Claude's Fable 5. That's kind of the big wig. It's going to be dethroned here probably this week. And if I have a very big idea, a very big project, a very big, business, thing I want to explore, I go to that. It does, most frontier level intelligence, processing of that information. It really does produce amazing results nowadays. You give it enough context, it can blow your mind. Then I can take the results of that and then bring it locally so that I got the plan. Now I'm going to build it. I can build websites. I can build, products. I can build, anything that in this digital world, how to make money. I can now bring it locally and it can do stuff. What that does is protect my information. I don't have to go and use ChatGPT. I don't have to go and use Claude for more sensitive, information. I like to use what's called Hermes. Hermes is a harness that brings in a bunch of different AIs. And so I can, whatever level I'm needing it, it can just call out and go do stuff. Now I'm able to talk to Hermes through Telegram. And that was a big breakthrough earlier this year, where instead of me needing to go to the browser to ChatGPT to be able to use that thing, I'm able to just, hop into my DMs and talk to it. And I actually have a new software called Buzz that was created by Jack Dorsey, who's a big open source proponent. And I am now able to get multiple AI agents in there and get them to argue amongst themselves. So I say, I have this idea. What do you guys think about this? And they will argue amongst themselves. And I can just wait for the result of all these different models arguing. That's a new level of power and intelligence. So 2 weeks ago, I was using Claude 80% of the time. ChatGPT 5.6 just came out right after that. And so that really shifted because it was a lot cheaper and a lot more proficient at doing kind of your mundane office work tasks. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been using ChatGPT probably about 60% of the time. My local AI agent probably about 20% of the time. And honestly, Claude about 10% of the time right now.
Wow. I love that. One of your comments was digital paper cuts. So that's good. I love that. But you're doing what I did in the CIA. We changed our routes, we changed our methods, we changed the way we look, we changed our cars, and you're kind of doing that with AI. You're switching your AI around so they can't keep track of you. I like that. That's very clever.
Yeah, and ultimately, the battlefield that we are on is really against open source versus closed source. Right. I'll explain what that is. It's pretty simple. Closed source is basically, these frontier models, Claude, ChatGPT, which ChatGPT started off as kind of an open source, open AI, but they definitely didn't go that route. They develop these AI models and then they sell access to them. They don't give you access to examine them. You don't get to see what's under the hood. You just get to pay to access these frontier models. Now, open source, which surprisingly is what China's strategy is with AI. They invest heavily into creating and training a model, and then they give it away for free and let you look under the hood so that you can see how it's running. You can make tweaks and changes to it to customize it to your own use. And so that's really the battlefield, because in our future, we need to have choice. That's really what freedom boils down to, right? The freedom to choose what tools we want to use, what kind of lifestyle we want to live, and the means to do that. But when we are, being held hostage by paying ChatGPT $20 a month, I'm on the $100 a month plan, access to your information that it's been slowly collecting and using for the last few years, for those that are using it. If your data is stuck inside of these frontier models and you don't have the ability to, access or get that data out of there, then you're essentially being held hostage, and you have to pay this subscription fee to use this and get access to your own data. So open source is the alternative from that, so that you can either might be able to download it for free or pay a one-time fee to get it. Then you own it. It's on your computer. All you need to pay is for the electricity and the computer processing to use these things. And then you have that. And I think the real only way through this, getting out of the digital panopticon ahead of us is by having our own open source AI models that have our back, basically like Jarvis from, Iron Man, something that knows us well, that can protect our privacy and our sensitive information, but also can help out with the landscape of manipulation that's out there. Because now that AI is here, it's out in the wild. Big governments are using it, big corporations are using it, and it's now being used against us, using our own data against us. It's going to be so subtle in the amount of manipulation that to change your, opinions and behavior. And, big tech has been doing this for 100 years. It's called cybernetics. They developed this in the 30s from the Macy conventions of how man interacts with machine. They've figured this stuff out, and they've been slowly rolling out tech in order to do that. And if you look back on the last 20 years, the invention of social media, it doesn't have to be this way, but it's there in order to, get a reaction out of us, in order to maximize our attention and our time spent on these networks. Google Maps, right, is tracking everything. It's making suggestions. It's feeding us ads. All this stuff is designed based off of cybernetics so that we can slowly get closer and closer into interfacing with these machines. And so knowing this, we need to have, an AI, a Jarvis that has our back, that can look for these subtle manipulations, just like, how I'm now analyzing my YouTube feed and my Facebook feed and my X feed, right? So I have context, and that post right there is that thing that it just told me about. I can then, have a deeper understanding of the world that I'm coming in contact with. And, all of us are more and more online, more every day. So having something to help watch our back, I think, is the only way through, because it's looking pretty bleak out there.
Yeah, but I like the way you're basically harnessing it. You're doing an exceptional job of harnessing it, understanding it on a incredibly deep. Well, I had no idea it's been around that long, almost 100 years now. Wow, that's incredible. So a slow manipulation. Now, speaking of manipulation, you talk about social media. So social media, Zuckerberg made a deal with the CIA. Also, Larry Ellison made a deal with the CIA, Oracle, and so did Google. So all the, we know the CIA is Overwatch, controlling the world for a great extent. I've worked in the CIA. I know this. They told us to stay off of Facebook, and I was like, why? What do you mean? And then I figured it out, of course, because some people posted on Facebook, and then they were no longer in a CIA job. So you have to be, they're watching everything, and they created a lot of this stuff so they could watch us. So why not create something so we can watch them? All right. So that's what you're doing. And how many people do you work with? I mean, I don't know if you want to disclose that, but you work with a lot of people, business wise and so forth.
Sure thing. Well, I have different, roles that I help people out with.
Right.
An educator. Right now, I'm doing a live cohort where I'm walking people through how to use the new ChatGPT work. Like I said, it's no longer just in your browser and a chat conversation that you have to copy and paste with. It can now get access to folders on your computer. You can connect it to tools. Right now, I actually have it building a website for me in the background. And so it can do stuff now. And so I'm teaching people with a live cohort through that process. I also help people out with AI coaching, being able to examine, their relationship with AI, how the current capabilities that AI has that can help them out with their daily, what tasks are eating up their time each week, creating automation so that, that report is sitting there waiting for you. You don't have to like go click through all the buttons, gather all that information, and get it done. Helping people out with currently creating content. One of my clients, he had about 2 years of Zoom meeting transcripts of him and his clients and his work. So I was able to collect all those transcripts, put them into a folder on his computer, give AI access to that, and then help create content from his words. So it's not just AI making up stuff, but like you're able to take those actual transcripts and then just structure them into a nice looking post so that it's your words putting out there. And the cool thing is ChatGPT now can pop open a browser and we'll go and schedule those posts for you too. So, that's hours each week that I was able to save for him. And then if you have a business, I have about almost 15 years of marketing experience in my back pocket now. So if you have funnels, if you, I'm helping people out with Facebook ads right now. There's pretty wild things you can do with leveraging AI and taking care of ad management. So it just, honestly, I'm in a really good position because AI keeps getting better and better every week. And there's just really cool things you can now do with it. So, even if you haven't,
what you say on your website, don't escape the system, build a better one. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's right. Because, I've been escaping matrices my whole life. As we said in the beginning, I escaped organized religion when I was 16. And then I got thrown into the party scene and became addicted to heavy drugs, hard drugs. And so I've had to grow out of these things one by one. And there's some systems that you just can't grow out of. Like there's no more countries to go and move to that aren't, currently being controlled. So it's about, being able to develop systems in your life so that you are more self-reliant, not dependent upon decaying systems that are crumbling around us. And that's, where my mutual aid work comes in. So you have a hyper local, if you click mutual aid in the top right or in the top menu, helping find a hyper local group of people that you can trust, that you can slowly start working with, and over time build that trust so that when stuff hits the fan, you got a crew that you can depend on. And me, harvesting all those chickens with my mutual aid group, that was another learning process of you really can't judge other people's character at a nice dinner party, right? You can get a nice, some surface level conversations, but it's not until you're arms deep in, processing a pig that you really get to see a character of the people around you. You need stressful situations to, see how they really act. So building mutual aid groups is a passion project of mine, helping people find families of 8 or 8. There's 8 people in the mutual aid group that consists of 8 families. And so keep it small so the bureaucracy doesn't gum up the decision making, but gives you a starting place. And it could be as simple as growing a garden together, going hiking once or twice a month, to all the way up to prepper level. Like how many resources do you want to have? So that's a really passion project, and it goes hand in hand with everything that I teach. Because you're not going to be able to lone wolf your way out of harm's way in this society that we're living in. You really need community and people that can help the work a lot lighter. So that's where I really spend my time other than when I'm not online.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, getting your crew together, as Katie's saying in the chat. You trust very few, but you trust your crew. You got you're talking about 8 people. You have that course on how to break the ice and start to build your crew, and it sounds pretty exciting. I've seen your progression. Since the last time we talked, it's pretty impressive. You're definitely in the process. You're reporting from the ground, what's actually going on, and you're doing an amazing job creating these groups like this. So give us a little bit more. You talked about it last show. Give us a little bit more about your group and what you guys do together, and then you teach them a lot of this stuff. This is part of the process too. Wow, what a great guy to have, in your crew. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, growing up in a religious, organization, community was something that just naturally came along with that, right? I was going to like 100-person picnics out in the parks and stuff like that, and I thought that was just normal. And then it wasn't until I got, I was disfellowshipped and kicked out that I realized like creating actual community in society is actually like really hard. It's not just something you naturally like grow into. There's a lot of individualization taking place in society, to where this like lone wolf mentality of like, we got to take care of our own family. We look out for ourselves. And you might have, schoolmates or like, associates from work, but really to have close companions is a difficult thing, especially in this digital age, right? With social media giving this surface level connection. And so when I left organized religion and then got thrown into the party scene, right? I thought I had so many friends. I had like 2,000 Facebook friends, right? But it wasn't until I got sober that I realized like, oh, these people aren't really my friends. These are my party scene. And it was because I had very low expectations to be my friend, right? If you smoke marijuana, guess what? I do too. We're best friends. Like that was literally like the only requirement to be my friend, right? You party, me too. Great. We're besties. But that brought a lot of chaos and a lot of corruption into my life. Because I didn't have, strong values and principles to live my life off of. So when I got sober, both me and my wife both got sober. This is 14 years ago now. We were both completely isolated. The whole party scene that we were a part of, couldn't really hang out with us anymore. We didn't have anything in common. We're starting to like build a family. And we just really grew apart. I literally have probably about 5 friends in my life from that chapter, from that period in my life. So I had to figure out like, how do I build community? And one that wasn't, because I was part of a club or part of another religion, like how do I actually like vet people in my community and create connection? And so that's where mutual aid groups really grew out of. Was that desire to have close connection, know your neighbors and be able to, trust them and then do amazing things with, because my life has gotten way funner, way easier now that I have like community and good people in my orbit. And ultimately it's insulating my family from, a decaying system around me as well. So I first came up with like the idea of creating